OTB AM. This is OTB Sports Radio.
I'm delighted for the supporters because they are great supporters and they've been a great club, and it's delighted to see them back on again.
All right, take it away whenever you want.
I'll try it, and but it's not an easy one. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky with the sweet silver song of the lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and torn. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
And that was brilliant. Thank you very much.
Back in 2005, John Giles made a bet that if Liverpool won the Champions League, he would come on air and sing, and he was a man of his word. And after they won the Champions League, he'd come on, and after Istanbul, he'd come on and sang that. And we thought that that's not a bad way to start this morning for you. Very good morning to you. You're welcome along to OTB AM. We're here with you every morning from 7:30 all the way through until 10 o'clock. And today, it's a coronation and a celebration. We had an entirely different running order. We were going to bring you loads of rugby. We were going to talk about stuff that was happening in the GAA world, because there's big announcements coming in the GAA world today, and we'll deal with them a little bit later on in the afternoon here on the OTB Sports platform. And I hope you're listening to us on the OTB Sports Radio on the app, which you can get in the Play Store and on also on the App Store. But this morning we want to hear from you if you're a Liverpool fan. 0879 180 180 is the WhatsApp number. You can use the hashtag OTBAM. It is a celebration. It is a coronation. And our guest list is absolutely stellar. We're going to finish up with John Aldridge. Before that, we've got Gareth Roberts from the Anfield Rap, Paul Howard and Declan Lynch, celebrity Liverpool fans is what it says here, David Meyler, Graeme Souness, Mark Lawrenson, Phil Thompson, and our own resident in-house experts, Nathan and Phil, are coming your way at around about 8 o'clock this morning. I mean, I think they might be happy this morning. That's all I'm going to say. We're not allowed to talk about... people get a little bit sniffy about the teams that they support in this part of the world when we make it public, but there's a lot of happy heads around the place. Emma's even shown up wearing her Liverpool jersey. I kind of knew Emma was a Liverpool jersey, but the whole city's wearing Liverpool jerseys this morning, it seems like. So look, let's bring in some of the post-match reaction. And I should tell you as well, sorry, by the way, that there is so much OTB Liverpool gold coming up today on OTB Sports Radio. Michael Owen with Nathan Murphy from 1 o'clock. Graeme Souness with Keith Andrews. That's a brilliant piece from 2 o'clock. Our roadshow with Steve McManaman is at 4 o'clock. And OTB AM interviews with Bruce Grobbelaar and Robbie Fowler from 5. And then Jason McAteer's career retrospective with Joe Malloy at 6. So it is Liverpool Day here on OTB Sports Radio. First though, let's bring in the story from last night. Liverpool obviously crowned champions for the 2019-2020 season without having to kick a ball. Chelsea beat Manchester City 2-1. Here's how Stephen Kelly and Nathan Murphy called it last night on OTB Sports.
You've got to just hold your hands up to them and say that they so deserve it of this title, and no one can take away from them what they've done.
96 on the clock, a number so important to Liverpool Football Club. Silence at Stamford Bridge, but roars of celebration from around the world because Liverpool are the champions of England. Finally, Liverpool can say they have won the Premier League title after 30 years of waiting. 30 years that saw them knocked off their perch, but Liverpool are back, and they have done it with one of the greatest Premier League seasons we have ever seen. The champions of Europe are the champions of England. Chelsea have beaten Manchester City by 2-1, but the story is that Liverpool have won the Premier League title with 7 games to spare. Pep Guardiola goes around, he shakes hands, he fist pumps the Chelsea players. His Manchester City team have been a great Premier League side over the last couple of seasons, but their reign as champions is over. Liverpool's is just beginning, and I'm sure there are celebrations the length and breadth of Ireland with that huge Liverpool supporter base, because they've done it. The waiting is over. It's not going to happen at the Etihad Stadium. It's happening right now for Liverpool. You can start your celebrations. You can crack open that champagne, because there's no doubting it now. Liverpool are the Premier League champions. What a night.
Yeah, let's get some reaction from the team last night. Here's Jurgen Klopp speaking with Graeme Souness last night on Sky Sports. Have a look at this.
Okay.
Jurgen, it's Graeme Souness. Congratulations.
Oh, Graeme. Oh, thank you, Graeme. Thank you, Graeme. Yeah. Wow, all the legends around.
Congratulations, you've been fantastic.
Well, nice club.
Can I just say, you know, the guys that you're talking to tonight, we've all played the game, but I'm amazed over 2 years how you managed to keep reproducing the kind of effort levels and the consistency and the ridiculous consistency that the boys showed for over 2 years. I mean, I find that really remarkable because, you know, I don't think when we played, we had that sort of consistency. Yeah, we won things, but we're more up and down in your team. Your team show no mercy. If you're playing against this Liverpool team, you've really got to be ready for the fight. And I find it surprising that you can get those players up to that level. Not 9 times out of 10, it would appear 10 times out of 10. I think that's an incredible achievement. How do you do that?
We all do that together. Look, it's a mix. It's a mix of the history you created, because that's obviously the things we are compared with, rightly so. I think we found a good way to get a little bit rid of it because we had to write our own story. But anyway, that gives us on the other side a lot of power. It's the atmosphere in and around the club, the intensity level, how everybody lives football in this club, and then it's 100%. We had a really good hand in choosing the players we kept here and bringing on the players we brought into here. It's a wonderful mix. They are all winners without winning 50 times in the past. So it means we have them now here. Now we can start winning together. And it's so incredibly difficult in these competitions where we are part of. But it's only possible with consistency, and that drives us. We knew 3 years ago we played a really good season. I think we finished 4th, and it was clear, but we lack consistency. And but you cannot ask for that, and then the boys deliver. You have to work on that. You have to create that. You have to convince people, and that's what we all did together. So without the players, I could do nothing. But of course, from time to time, you have to help them a little bit with a few words, and that's what we do as well. So it's a big moment. I have no real words, to be honest. It's such a big moment. I'm completely overwhelmed. I never would have thought that it would feel like this. I had no idea, and it's just big. Sorry, gentlemen. See you. All the best.
Congratulations, Jurgen.
Congratulations.
Right. I mean, it is amazing when you think about the turnaround in Liverpool's fortune since Klopp arrived in October 2015. It is definitely one of the best jobs that we've ever seen anybody do in world football, really, to get the team to the point where they're in a Champions League final, come back the next year and win it. While that's happening, they get pipped, having broken all their own internal records, and then the next year come back and just absolutely napalm everybody. So if you've got a view this morning, 0879 180 180 is the WhatsApp number. You can send it to us, or you can leave a comment in the YouTube stream. If you're watching it there, use the hashtag OTB AM. Let's hear from Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson. If you remember back when Jordan Henderson was signed for all that money from Sunderland, the entire system which invested so much in him was ridiculed and held up as a complete example of all that was wrong with English football being dominated by statistics and athletic endeavour. And here it turns out Jordan Henderson is exactly who you want captaining your football team and more than that, your football club. Have a look. Here he is talking with Jamie Carragher.
Jordan, when did the belief start that you could win a title? I must say I'd lost belief towards the end of my career that Liverpool would ever win a title again. I mean, as soon as Jurgen Klopp comes through the door, does that belief reignite itself then in you and the squad?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I said after the Champions League final that it wouldn't be possible to do that without the manager. And it's the same with this title, you know, just everything from when he come in. And that's no disrespect to the managers before him or who I've worked with before, because we have come close. But I felt from day one he came in the door, he just changed everything and everybody followed him, and we all done what he said and followed him and believed him. And yeah, so far it's been pretty special. It's been an amazing journey, and I hope we can just continue in this, stay hungry, keep wanting more, and just keep following him.
Can you sum up his qualities, Jordan, that he's brought to you and the team?
Well, I think a lot of it you see, you know, what you see is what you get when you see him doing his press conference and when you see him on the sidelines. That is what he's like, but obviously he's got a little bit more personal side to him that you might not see with the players. He is so close with the players, but he's got a perfect balance of that. I'm glad you haven't come in this. I'm glad you haven't come in this. Not that far. Can you hear that?
We can hear it all, Jordan. You carry on if you can.
He's a leader, and obviously he's a great human being, and like I said, he's got that great balance between having a relationship with the players and being a friend, but also being able to give them a bollocking and maybe not so kind at times as well, and a little bit ruthless at times as well. So the biggest thing he's got is no matter what, we all follow him, we all believe in him, and he's took us to this point really. So like I said, this wouldn't be possible without him.
Yeah, again, testimony to Jurgen Klopp there from his captain, Jordan Henderson. Let's hear from Liverpool legend Phil Thompson, friend of the show. He's going to join us a little bit later on this morning, assuming that he, actually is up and ready to go after what I suspect was a late night for a lot of the Liverpool legends who were banking on taking calls early this morning. But anyway, here was his immediate reaction last night.
30 years in the making. There's been some heartbreaks along the way. The league title was something that we sort of took for granted. Now with it being 30 years, this gang of players, they will be immortalised. This has been the holy grail for many, many years.
There was great scenes on BT Sport when they got Kenny Dalglish on and he started having his first glass of champagne and people started texting him and you could hear the bing, bing, and it was getting louder and louder and louder because he was obviously broadcasting from his phone. He was bouncing between live links both into the Sky and BT studios last night. He was a tough man to tie down.
Kenny, there's a smile on your face. I might have even detected a tear in the eye just now.
I've got glass eyes, so it wouldn't be a tear, I don't think.
Listen, when you last won the title, all that time ago against Queen's Park Rangers, you can't have even imagined it would be over 11,000 days until Liverpool did it again.
No, and I think if you did, you would have been arrested in section. You don't know, sometimes things happen. But certainly the last 2 years, and since Jurgen's come in, has been very, very positive all the way through. So he's been fantastic, and he epitomises everything that Liverpool Football Club stands for. He appreciates and respects everybody that works at the club, and they've all got the position, they've all got his respect. So whatever they got, they deserve it. And it's not just a one-off, because last year they came within a point of it. This year they've only lost 1, drawn 2. They won the World Club Championship. They won the Champions League last year as well. So, by the way, onwards and upwards.
And we introduce Sir Kenny Dalglish as well, the last manager. Yes, you said that, Graeme. The last manager to deliver the title for Liverpool. Kenny, how does it feel?
Well, I'm very pleased for everybody connected with the football club. Since Jurgen's come in here, he's done an unbelievable job, and there's been fantastic support for the owners and everybody in and around the club. The players have been a great example.
Kenny, can you turn your TV down at your end?
I've not got a TV on.
Oh, it's vibrating back to us. Try again.
I never got my licence.
The inspectors will be around in the morning for Kenny Dalglish's autograph, I'm sure. 0879 180 180 is the WhatsApp number. Alan Quinlan is a Liverpool fan, joins us this morning. Alan, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Ger. Really happy after last night.
30 years. Were you one of those young glory-hunting Liverpool fans as a kid going, this is great, a European Cup every second year, a league every year essentially, or 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5, crushing my opponents in the schoolyard, bragging my way around the place, I'm a Liverpool fan, screw you. And now 30 years it took for you to get back up there.
It's been a lot of heartache and pain, Ger. I think I have a lot of United fans as friends, and over the years it's been painstaking to say the least. But yeah, I was spoiled as a kid. I remember being 5 or 6 and having the Crown Paints jersey, the yellow, the red one. Loving watching Liverpool winning leagues, going to FA Cup finals, having that kind of success. And And then you go on a run, and as Kenny Dalglish said there, you never expect after 1990 that it's going to be 30 years and you're going to have to wait that long for another title. I'm not a Liverpool fan who loses sleep at night, but I love them. And people often say, well, they're overpaid and what are you watching all that English football for and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, it's just something that's in you, and I'm sure people who are fans of English soccer teams, I think I was probably drawn to the Irish players that were there, and Aldridge, Ray Houghton, Ronnie Whelan, Steve Staunton when they played in that Liverpool team in the late 80s, and I loved watching Liverpool. And we've had a massive drought, and as I said, some of my very close friends are United fans, and over the years it's been very, very difficult. But I'm delighted. I think Klopp said it when he came in his first press conference, and it's got to be said that Brendan Rodgers was very, very unlucky with Liverpool, and he did a really good job there. But Klopp and all the players said it last night, changed the mentality. And I'm always intrigued, because I played at a high level in sport myself, that the role of the manager, and I think last night watching some of the interviews from the players, they just all hailed Klopp and the unity of the team and the relationship he has with the players. It's a very unique relationship. So he's done an incredible job. The challenge now, of course, is can they go on and win more? Who knows? They've been very consistent the last kind of 3 years with Champions Leagues and getting to the final, then winning it last year, losing by a point, and this year winning it. So it's incredible. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you would be in any way concerned about would be Klopp deciding, I can't get any better than this. I'm just going to take a little rest for a little while. Essentially the way that Guardiola did when he was at Barcelona. And Guardiola has never quite been as good a manager ever since. And certainly he hasn't had as good a collection of players. But just on the way that Liverpool actually play, it must be unbelievably exciting to be a Liverpool fan at the moment, because when you start and sit down to watch a match, you know that there's going to be an attacking flair and a verve, and the fullbacks are going to be bombing on and desperately trying to score. It's a great team to watch. It's a great team to flick on a Tuesday or Wednesday night and go, well, this is actually going to be exciting.
Yeah, it is, and I think you saw probably from the Everton game the other night when Robertson didn't play, the effect it has. Salah didn't play, and that probably is the concern, that depth chart for in certain positions, particularly at left back, and if Salah didn't play, or one of the top three. But you look at the Mane goal the other on Wednesday night against Crystal Palace; it was just phenomenal. All 4 goals were brilliant. I think it's the attack-minded ability of the team and the way they go forward, and there's been some memorable nights. I'll never ever forget the Barcelona game last year when they were beaten 3-0 in Spain, and then the return leg to win 4-0. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but people I know went to that game, and it was just out of this world, I think. So their belief, I think the key here, Ger, is probably the belief, and lots of sports people can learn from different sports teams in all different codes, and I just think back to, and I've said this so many times, when I started out with Munster in 1997, Declan Kidney came in and he told us someday we'll win the European Cup. We thought he was crazy, and eventually we did, obviously, but belief is everything. And Klopp said that at his first press conference in October the 8th, 2015, that we've got to turn them from doubters into believers. And if you believe in sport, you can have all the talent in the world, but you got to believe as well. And it is the mentality, and that's what he's done. He's done an incredible job. So can they kick on and win more? Well, I look at it like a little bit like the GAA Championship in hurling, probably not in football, because Dublin have been so dominant, but any team can win the All-Ireland hurling. A number of teams can win the All-Ireland hurling championship each year, and the Premier League is probably a little bit like that. I don't think Liverpool will go on and be ultra dominant like the great Manchester United side under Alex Ferguson, but they've got to keep knocking on the door. They've got to get better, and he's just done an incredible job, I think, Klopp. So it's a very happy feeling to be a Liverpool fan after all the hurt and the pain and nearly getting there on a number of occasions, but this puts a lot of that to bed. I do feel very, very sorry, and I actually thought of him last night. about Steven Gerrard, because, you know, he epitomised a great drive and a determination and a quality, obviously, as a player for a number of years, and didn't get to win a European Cup. And in similar circumstances, Peter Classie and Mick Galway were like that for Munster. They didn't get to run out in Cardiff in 2006 and win a European Cup for us, but they were part of the foundations of building that, and Gerrard would be like that for Liverpool. But it was just amazing, and I was quite relaxed about it last night, I think, because there's obviously going to be more chances. My biggest fear at the start of this pandemic was that it'll be null and void and that'll be it. And I said that knowing our luck, this is going to happen to Liverpool, but we're there now, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, no matter what happens, even if there's a crazy second wave next week across the UK, they're not going to take the title away from Liverpool, and that's the right thing to have happened, because they were clearly so much the best team. Just on the Stevie G point, I mean, there's a possibility he comes back as manager at some point, but it does also kind of epitomise the hurt from a Liverpool fan's perspective, because so many Liverpool fans put him right up there with Kenny Dalglish. And when you think about what Kenny Dalglish achieved, to be a player-manager who wins the league is absolutely ludicrous. But to have been one of their best ever players, and then to have been one of their best ever managers as well, is like, you know, there's almost no reason for anybody to be on a similar level, and yet the Liverpool fans put Stevie G right up there.
Yeah, I just think it's, and it will probably happen. I think he will probably be the one who will succeed Klopp. I think that's what they would want. I think Liverpool themselves would want that, and you know, it's in his blood. Liverpool. I've read his autobiography, and his dream was to always play for Liverpool, and he was an incredible player for them. And he still has that tag of that slip a couple of years ago against Chelsea when Liverpool were in a great position to win the league. I still say it was the Crystal Palace game that cost them dearly after that. But you know, if they'd beaten Chelsea, obviously they would have put themselves in a much stronger position to win it. But yeah, he's just he's someone that will come back, I'd say. And obviously, if he continues and in his development, I know he's done quite well at Rangers. But you know, someone like him coming back into the club will be a natural transition, I would think. And as I said, it's a shame that he didn't get to be involved in a title-winning side for Liverpool. But it's just amazing that I actually can't believe it in a sense, because the pessimistic side in me said something's going to go wrong here. When the coronavirus thing started, I said it is going to be null and void. This is going to be Liverpool's luck, and we won't get that league title. So we can relax a little bit now, but hopefully they can kick on now and win more. And my son is a Liverpool fan as well, and he was delighted as well last night. So it was just great. It was a great feeling, and I didn't really care that, you know, they didn't get a chance to do it in Anfield with a full crowd. At this stage of the game for Liverpool fans, it's just relief, really. And I think what they've done, Ger, and I always go back to this because I played myself, is I'm intrigued by the drive, the determination, the hunger of the group of players, and that's very, very evident in this Liverpool side. And I admire sports people who have that drive and determination. I didn't enjoy Manchester United winning any of their titles, but I had great admiration and respect for them, and I enjoyed the drive and the hunger and the determination. I was always intrigued by Alex Ferguson and the great Manchester United players, and Liverpool hopefully can create that kind of a legacy for themselves going forward.
I think they have. I mean, they've won a league, and they won a Champions League and a league in the space of 12 months. It's a phenomenal achievement, and they've done it racking up points totals and beating everybody ahead of them, and that incredible comeback against Barcelona just adds a little layer of mystique to the whole thing. So, Alan, congratulations. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't feel like winning the European Cup for you, but actually, I suspect from a sports fan's perspective, this is about as good as it gets.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And I'm sure some people will watch this and go, what the hell, English soccer, Liverpool, what difference does that make? And, you know, it doesn't make a huge difference to my day when Liverpool win or lose, but it's just kind of in me from as a kid, and it kind of brings me back to my youth, the enjoyment and the joy of watching Liverpool, as I said, with the Irish players that were there. And so this is really enjoyable. And hopefully the young Liverpool fans today can get a run of success with Liverpool, and maybe get some success themselves now that I experienced as a kid. So it's lovely. It's really nice.
Good stuff. Thanks for joining us this morning, Alan. Cheers.
Pleasure.
It's a day of celebration here on OTB Sports for all the Liverpool fans, and I don't know what the Man United fans and the Man City fans are thinking out there. If you want to share your views with us, you can use the hashtag OTB AM on Twitter, or you can leave a comment on the YouTube stream that we stream every morning. Or of course, you can always just WhatsApp us 087 9180 180. Now, obviously, we've been a part of this season every Sunday. We've been broadcasting live Premier League games right across the year, and as we have done for essentially the last 18 years here on Off the Ball. Let's run through some of the biggest moments from across the season. We've had plenty of games. Let's go back to October when we spoke to the Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson after his goal helped club side to beat Spurs 2-1 at Anfield.
Where are you on goal scoring? Is it a part of your game you're at the start of every season thinking I need to score a few more, or is it a part of your game you're going, you know what, I have a very different role in this team?
Yeah, it's always nice to chip in, with goals, but at the end of the day, for us, it doesn't matter who scores, as the forward player scores all the goals and we win games. That's the most important thing. I think it's nice for other players to contribute, of course, but first and foremost, it's about doing my job, my role within the team, and hopefully now and again I can chip in. But the most important thing is performance, making sure that I'm performing for the team and everybody else is performing and winning games.
And a lot of games like that now where teams sit back, defend, particularly with Tottenham getting the early goal. Do you feel as a group you're far better able to deal with that type of team now than maybe 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago?
I think we reacted in the right way. It's not easy going a goal behind early on, but we still had a lot of time left. And I thought we reacted so well, and that's down to mentality. We've got to keep going, keep fighting right until the very end, and that's something we've done for a while now. So we need to keep that going right until the end of the season. And like I said, hopefully we can continue on that form.
David Meyler in the background there, obviously on CoCom that day, and Meyler and Henderson are best mates. We're hoping to hear from Meyler a little bit later on as well. So let's hear from Adam Lallana. Kind of a forgotten man of the season, but did actually get some game time. He spoke with Nathan after they beat Sheffield United to go 13 points clear at the top in early. We knew in January, 13 points clear in January. We knew what was going to happen at that stage. We kind of knew from October, November when Man City started to splutter, and there was no sign of Liverpool spluttering, that this was going to be Liverpool's year. Owen Sheehan called it here on this programme as a matter of interest, accusing the Liverpool fans of the greatest era since Kerry. And he was obviously capable of spotting that because, he's an expert at it. But anyway, here is Lallana speaking with Nathan.
You've been here throughout Klopp's reign. When you look at the standard this group have got to throughout 2019, winning the Champions League, can you believe the level you've got to over the space of the last 4 years?
Yeah, I can, because, I work with these lads day in, day out, and I see how committed and how much work's put into it. You perform like that and as consistent as that, not through luck, through hard work, dedication, long hours, and it's all worth it.
Yeah. What is, you've obviously worked with some great managers at international level, at club level, with Maurizio Pochettino, people like that. You're probably at a stage again where you can look at managers a bit differently and try and take little tips and things from coaches. Can you put your finger on what it is Klopp has? Is it just man management? Is it a bit of everything?
Yeah, he's got a bit of everything. He's very intense, but he can demand that out of his players with keeping them on side. He makes us believe that to be more intense means we've got more chance of being successful. And you see that out there with what the lads put into every game. And yeah, we might have to sacrifice different aspects of our life for that and to be at that level, but it's really worth it.
We spoke quite a bit before the game about Jordan Henderson, and David was telling us about the journey he's been through and some of the setbacks he's come back from. He was man of the match tonight. I know you're very good friends with him. The level he's got to this season, have you seen him play better?
I don't think I've seen him play as consistently as good as this in his career. He's a selfless captain at the end of the day, and he's reaping his rewards by lifting all the trophies that are coming his way now, and he won't want to stop there. He plays 6, he plays 8, he sacrifices himself a lot of the time for this team, and it's only rightly so that he's reaping the rewards and the recognition that for me should have been coming his way for years now.
That's Adam Lallana there. Interesting, talking about sacrificing stuff in our lives to achieve this. And you know, he's not somebody who's had a whole heap of game time this year. I'm just trying to check. It's 15 games in the Premier League. That's enough to get a medal these days. They kind of give out medals to almost anybody they want to. It's not like the old days where you had to hit a certain number of... I mean, it is still like the old days. You still have to play enough games to achieve it, but they also have loads of medals because they're really rich and it's not like left in the box the way it used to be in the Graeme Souness here. And we'll hear a little bit about that from Souness later on OTB Sports Radio, which is on our Liverpool special day today. But it was interesting to hear Lallana, who hasn't had much game time and who would have obviously thought of himself as somebody who was, you know, should be in the team and should be playing international football, and happy to kind of subjugate himself for those moments of game time. And maybe that's what the magic of Klopp is. It's not just in getting the star strikers to play well week in, week out, but it's in making sure that when Adam Lallana is needed and is called upon, he's actually going to be decent for the team. 0879 180 180 is the number here if you want to get in touch with us this morning. So we brought you some of the Jordan Henderson stuff. We brought you Adam Lallana. Let's go back to that mid-January. Liverpool welcomed Manchester United to Anfield in the build-up to the game. Here's Nathan talking about it with Joe. Didn't hear a word Nathan said there. Nathan, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
A raucous atmosphere from Anfield before the game against Manchester United back in January. And we couldn't really hear you because the crowd was just too loud.
Yeah, and it just brings home maybe what could have been this week for Liverpool with the crowds. And there've been so many nights like that over the last 18 months. It's been a real privilege to be there a lot over the last few seasons as Jurgen Klopp turned this around and turned them into the juggernaut that they've become. And the connection that's there between the supporters and the players and the team, it is a real thing. I think at first people thought that this was an imaginary thing that Liverpool supporters just dreamed about. And you think back to that day when they drew at West Brom and Jurgen Klopp brought all the players over to the Kop and they all lined up and they bowed. And literally it felt like the world was laughing at them, that this guy was trying to make something happen that just wasn't there, that was make-believe. But I think that was the start of the Liverpool supporters, maybe, I won't say trusting Klopp, but thinking...
When was that? So what season was that?
This was... was this about a year into it? About a year into it with Jurgen Klopp. And it's worth remembering that... So it was 2017, they last lost at Anfield, which was the game against Crystal Palace. And I touch on that day and games around then a lot, and the lack of trust that the Liverpool supporters had in their team. It was a difficult place to play if you weren't a really strong character in that Liverpool side, because if you made a mistake, they got in your back. Even if you went in front and you made a mistake, they were getting on your back. And there was a distinct lack of trust in that team to be able to hold on. So that I distinctly remember that day against Crystal Palace. They went in front. Christian Benteke equalises. And there's murmurings in the crowd. There's this nervousness of, we've been here before. They looked at that back four. They looked at Mignolet. They looked at Lovren, Klein, Mamadou Sakho, players like that, and thought, we just don't trust them. And that was hindering Liverpool for many, many years. And he went out and he spotted where the problems were and turned it round. And well, listen, he's obviously turned it round to an extent I think that nobody could ever have imagined. And it's just been an incredible place to be around match day for the last couple of years.
In one of the pieces he did last night with Souness, in the middle of it, he just said, yeah, we've been able to have a lot of influence on the players we've been bringing in. And it was a funny thing to just kind of inject into the middle of it, but it kind of echoed something that John Giles said to you last night about, and you've just made the same point, about the team was not full of trustworthy people. He didn't have a centre-back. He didn't have a goalkeeper. It took him a year to get... it took him 2 years to get a goalkeeper. It took him a year to get a centre-back. When he got the players, it was like watching Arsenal under Wenger, except watching the issues be diagnosed and then fixed. It was like, this is a team who's playing really good football, and when the problem occurs, Wenger would let it go on and go on and go on. Klopp goes, well, that's a bit of a problem, and I'm getting rid of it and getting a better player than the one they already had.
Yeah, and not just a better player, but some of the best players in the world. So the obvious one was the centre-back problem that's been a consistent issue for Liverpool since Jamie Carragher retired. And even before then, and probably finding a partner for Jamie Carragher. And it was the power of his personality, by all accounts, that brought Virgil van Dijk to the club. Van Dijk could have gone to Chelsea. He could have gone to Manchester City. Everything you hear is that he could have gone to Manchester City for more money. But that Klopp, once he had met Van Dijk, that was that he realised you can go to Liverpool, and this is a club actually where they could build a statue of you if this goes well. And maybe he's been right, because the impact Virgil van Dijk has made, if that continues over the next 3 or 4 years, they may well end up building a statue. It obviously hasn't been flawless in that the goalkeeper issue did take too long to fix. Potentially cost them another European Cup by sticking with Loris Karius through that year. He wasn't the man to replace Simon Mignolet. They signed Alisson a couple of days later. If that transfer had happened the previous summer, the previous January, maybe they're here as 2-time European champions and Premier League champions. But you're picking holes. But everywhere, there's been the big money signings that have delivered and have to deliver when you're at a club of Liverpool side, but also there's the players he's developed. So you see the two of them and their importance. But then it's the two fullbacks. So Andy Robertson comes from Hull for 8 million. You'll talk to David Meyler later about the type of character he was and whether he ever saw him getting to this level where he's arguably the best left back in the world. And likewise, Trent Alexander-Arnold comes in against Manchester United back in 2017, gets ripped apart by Anthony Martial that first day. Could be just another decent young player. Turns out again, he's developed and he has the confidence and he's become this key part of Liverpool side, controlling games from right back, which we never thought we'd see. So in every different way that you need a manager to perform, whether it's developing the talent you have or signing the right type of character, he's done it. And you mentioned Adam Lallana. It's keeping everybody. It's not a huge Liverpool squad. There's only 17, 18 players that are there. And certainly if you're in, you're in. And if you're out at times, you're out. And we've seen that with the likes of Xherdan Shaqiri, who have made impacts in previous seasons. But then he obviously just didn't think they're of the standard and has barely been seen since. But Lallana's one of them. I think he has the character. He's obviously very good friends with Jordan Henderson and knows what the club is all about, that he's wanted to stay involved. And again, he's made that impact. Got that goal against Manchester United earlier in the season to keep that unbeaten run going.
Yeah. Phil Egan, good morning to you. How you doing?
How you doing, Ger? How you doing, Nathan?
What's it like, Phil?
Do you know what? I don't think it really sinks in because it's been so long, and I watched a lot of the reaction stuff last night on TV, and obviously it was up early this morning. So that in mind, I kind of, maybe curtail things, and maybe I'll wait till later on, and you can start watching back some of the footage, some of the tributes. I know Off the Ball put up lovely montage, and I'm sure Jurgen Klopp would approve of Metallica being the soundtrack to it as well. And just touching on what Nathan said there, like Jurgen Klopp, I still go back to 2015 when he got the job. I just couldn't believe Liverpool got him because timing is everything in football. And Brendan Rodgers had just come off a 1-1 draw in the Merseyside derby. Liverpool obviously decided, look, we need something else here because the 2013-14 season was brilliant and all, but you knew as soon as it was over, that was it because Suarez was gone. And in the past, Liverpool teams, even 2009, Xabi Alonso went, and the teams have just kind of regressed. But with Klopp, it's just got better and better. And there's just been, I think what's so impressive about it as well is with disappointment, like you think back to the Champions League final, the disappointment, the humiliation for Loris Karius that night and for Liverpool to concede goals in that manner. They come back the next season and then they win the Champions League. Last season, everyone's saying, oh yeah, Liverpool are the greatest team not to win a Premier League title because they've got 97 points. And then they go on this season and it looks like they're going to better the 97 points. So he pretty much turns disappointment, he turns it into a positive and just gets more fire in the belly. And, there is potential to keep going with this squad. That's the beauty of what Jurgen Klopp has instilled in this team.
Klopp made that point himself, actually, Nathan. He was saying that, when I got here, this wasn't a team of winners, and now all of a sudden they actually have achieved that. So they, when you were, I think, talking with Jordan Henderson back then, there was this kind of sense of like, do you actually still believe that you're going to be able to do more than you were doing last year? And until they actually do it, they don't know that they're capable of doing it because you know how close they went last season, and you can imagine what kind of a kick in the balls it is for a group to break every single record that the club has ever had at a record-breaking club like Liverpool and still finish second against a team like Man City. So to come back and do that, that's an unbelievable sign of character.
And it wasn't a given. It wasn't a given because the Liverpool history of the last quarter of a century is they go close and then they fade away and something goes wrong. So even though they got to 97 points, I think most Liverpool supporters thought maybe we missed our chance. Manchester City aren't going to dip. They're going to need to get 100 points and they're never going to get 100 points. Yet somehow they've got even better. Somehow. I'm not quite sure how they've managed it, but they've been even better. And I could go all stats nerd and reel off 100 different stats that show just how brilliant they have been this season and how relentless they've been. And they've changed the entire culture of Liverpool because it was a history of watching them over the last 20, 25 years of near misses, of drama. Like, that's the one thing. So much of Liverpool since they were knocked off their perch has been dramatic moments of success, but generally an overriding feeling of disappointment. Like, that's gone. They've just become this relentless killing machine that they go out and do it again and again. And in a way, I'm delighted that they performed the way they did against Crystal Palace. A game they would always be expected to win, but the way things have gone over the last 3-4 months, questions start asking, you quickly forget, and they'd had that defeat against Watford, they'd lost to Atletico Madrid. Well, were they actually that good? And then they put in a performance like that. Crystal Palace didn't touch the ball in the Liverpool penalty area for the entire match. It was just relentless aggression. And you mentioned Metallica there. There was a time it was seen as rock and roll football under Klopp, that it was 100 miles an hour, which again tapped into a certain Liverpool emotion of just loving the excitement and the drama and the thrill of it all. But it's a very different Liverpool side over the last 18 months because teams set up differently. So it's not 100 miles an hour. It's real, calm, composed, just suffocating the life out of teams, a very different tactical style. And he recognised that as well. And maybe at times Klopp doesn't get enough recognition for tactically how he sets them up. People would still question the midfield as to whether they're good enough. Are they Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba? He wants his midfield to do a certain type of job, a Jordan Henderson type player who will get the job done. And it's been like, it is insane what they have managed to achieve over the last 18 months. I go back, people look for pointers, and the obvious games are the matches against Manchester City that consistently over the last 2 or 3 years have been some of the best games in world football. And the first time I probably thought Liverpool were there was certainly the 4-3, where Manchester City they're the benchmark. They're arguably the best team in Europe at times, and Liverpool are 4-1 up and killing them, and you think they're here. But actually, the game that turned it for me was the match about 18 months ago against Everton, when Divock Origi scored that fluke, you may call, in the very last minute. Liverpool hadn't really played well last season. They were sort of meandering along. They were getting results. Nothing had really clicked into gear. And there was something about that moment that I've never heard a noise like it at Anfield. I've never heard a reaction, the sheer shock of it happening. And that just seemed to kickstart this team into the run they've gone on, which is, one defeat this season, two defeats in their last 70 matches in the Premier League. Like, this is no flash in the pan, and there is no reason why they're going to go away. In fact, the way the football calendar is going to go, like, he's in a brilliant position for the next couple of months and how he can rotate players and be ready to go again in September.
Well, that's what I was thinking. You're saying that they might break last season's points tally or go even further. I'm not sure. I think that they could legitimately just shut up shop now and start planning for next season, and no one will bat an eyelid because we're in the middle of a global pandemic. So maybe the right thing to do is to rest a bunch of players. I think, in a weird way, Phil, there was a sense that around the time of their exit from the Champions League, that they had run themselves into the ground a little bit. And this little break has actually... This is based on the evidence of the Crystal Palace match. So, and maybe I'm reading too much into it because the Everton game wasn't very good, but the Crystal Palace game was absolutely sensational, and Palace obviously have nothing to play for. So let's wait and see exactly where their form is. But there was a bit that they were coming off a peak for the last 2 months of the season before it finished up. And there was just a little bit of question about their form. The break seems to have done them good. Another break heading into next season will be an absolutely sensational opportunity for them to rest those bodies and to go again for another 24-month period.
Yeah, and I mean, look, they lost 4 games out of 6 before the break, and as disappointing as the exit was to Atletico Madrid, Liverpool were actually sensational that night. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain played the game of his life for Liverpool, and just the fine margins at that elite level, that I think if Alisson's playing in goal that night, Liverpool get the job done. And that was a big... I remember when we were in the office on the Friday before that game, and it was announced Alisson wasn't going to be playing at the weekend and Adrian was probably going to be starting against Atletico. I remember thinking that's a game changer because, when we mentioned Karius, Liverpool have had such problems with goalkeepers down the years, and finally they have this steady hand in Alisson, and he obviously wasn't there for the Atletico game. But yeah, the break came at a good time. The Everton game, a lot was made of it, but the last 3 years it's been a really horrible game. It's finished 0-0, and even the one 4 years ago took an injury time goal from Sadio Mane. So when Liverpool go to Goodison, it's never pretty, and that's what happened last Sunday. And yeah, I think it was important that they basically showed everyone why they're the best team in the Premier League on Wednesday night when they absolutely dismantled Crystal Palace. The Crystal Palace team, who had made things awkward for Manchester City. They'd obviously won at Old Trafford this season. They were coming off the back of keeping a few clean sheets. And, Liverpool fans will know how Roy Hodgson sets up, because unfortunately he set up the same way when he was the Liverpool manager. But they obviously destroyed them. And the goals were just so clean and just epitomised everything that's good about this Liverpool team. Now, in terms of what happens between now and the start of next season, you look at Nico Williams came on. Does he give Williams a bit more game time? Harvey Elliott, does he say, right, here's a chance for you to get some more first-team football? I think what he'll do is he'll mix and match, where he might have 7 of his regulars in there, and he'll play a few of the squad players to see how they get on when they're playing with the better players. And then what does he do in the transfer window? I think it was pretty much there to see at Goodison that they need a backup left back, because without that natural width, Andy Robertson, isn't injury prone, but if he isn't there, it obviously takes something away. And obviously Salah as well. What happened playing Minamino out on the right? You want that left-footed player to play, because obviously then it creates more space for Trent Alexander-Arnold down the right. So they've got a few things. I'd like to see them get a new goalkeeper as well, because if Alisson is picking up injuries, he might miss more games. Adrian is just not good enough. If you look at some of the best teams, and you look at, say, even United have Sergio Romero, they've got Dean Henderson as backup. You need a good backup goalkeeper. It's hard to get them, because if you get a young lad, he's not got the experience. If you go for an older head, then, what kind of quality can you get? Because they know they're going to be sitting on the bench.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Klopp and kind of just get into the difference he makes. Back in 2009, Simon Cooper and Stefan Szymanski produced a paper essentially on the back of what I think had gone on at Chelsea and the influence that money had. And the economic theory was that managers actually don't matter. What matters is your wage bill, and that ultimately ends up deciding where you end up in the table. And no doubt Liverpool have a very high wage bill, but it seems to me that actually the raw economic data does not fully appreciate the impact or importance of somebody like Jurgen Klopp. And you talked about the influence on Robertson and the influence on even on Jordan Henderson. It seems to me like Klopp has put in as good a managerial shift in the 5 years since he's arrived as any other manager that I can think of in world football history.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore it. And listen, if you want to get into wage bills and money spent, like Liverpool have done that as well, and they should be there competing and on the tails of Manchester City. It's that transformation from being on the tails of them to being 23 points clear and winning a title with 7 games to go, and that relentlessness that he's brought. The one word that comes up again and again from Klopp, or about Klopp, is intensity. And there's the Klopp we saw on Sky last night again, where there's that emotional side, which he often, I think, lets out in those television interviews. And there's the jovial, there's the fun side. He's the guy you would love to go for a pint with. He's the guy who would be good crack and would be a good energy and would have brilliant stories, and have heard from lots of people that he is very much that guy when he's off duty. But all the players, when you ask them for a word to describe Jurgen Klopp, it is intensity. And I've seen that in post-match interviews. There's a no-nonsense side to Jurgen Klopp when it comes to the game and when it comes to the message he wants to get to his players. And you can tell by the way they play, by the way the players who came on, Phil touched on some of the young guys who came on against Crystal Palace, that the way they were running around, the energy they put in the last couple of minutes, they knew that there's a standard now set that's been there. It was a club of excuses for so many years, Liverpool, that there's no excuses there. And that is the power of his personality.
They were Mayo, basically.
Imagine growing up as a Mayo-born Liverpool supporter. Imagine the pain that you would suffer over 30 years. It's funny, I remember Liverpool beating Everton in the 89 Cup final, and it's been a big deal. I've no memory of Liverpool winning the league in 1990, because I presume, actually, it wasn't that big a thing. It was not something that stood out in my house. It was just like, this is going to continue forever. This is the path you've gone down.
It's just going to be dull, boring success for the rest of your life. Turned out it was a life of misery that Liverpool supporters of my age have chosen, and that's why it was so great actually to see last night the celebrations. And it's funny, I would say every single Liverpool supporter on my phone, I would know them, because there's some sort of weird connection of over the years of shared misery, shared pain, and for those people to see what it meant to them, and even to watch the television coverage, like to see what it meant to Jamie Carragher, considering he gave so much and didn't get there, that actually he can take a joy from this. For Kenny Dalglish and like Graeme Souness, who's done it all, who's been there, and for him to still have that connection. And I'm delighted for so many people that they get this moment. So many Irish people who travel over, and I've got to know a lot of them over the last few years. You'd run into them at the airport and spend enormous amounts of money going. And listen, you can criticise, and people will often say Irish supporters and Liverpool connection. Like, it's nonsense. It's absolute bullshit. Like, these people get it. There's a strong and emotional connection there with this club, as you would get if they lived on the Anfield Road, for so many Liverpool supporters. And I think that has even grown, and you have to give the club credit, that has grown, that connection between Liverpool and Ireland over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, because of the tragedy of Sean Cox and the way the club has responded, and we saw that again last night. And yeah, you're thinking of his family, and you're thinking of so many people who I just know enjoyed last night so much and have waited so long for that moment.
Yeah, and it was great to see the hierarchy of the club actually including Sean Cox in their tweets at full time as well. Phil, I know you've got to go. Will you be setting off fireworks in your back garden? Is that your plan for the weekend?
Yeah, I think my back garden could be flooded, by the way, because there was so much rain this morning when I was woken up. So obviously I haven't had much sleep, and I was woken up by thunder and lightning, and the drive-in was interesting. But no, do you know what? I'll probably just sit back, put the feet up, and maybe watch. I'm sure there's going to be some great footage now over the next few days of, you know, how it all happened, like the journey of when Klopp took over, the turning points, that sale of Philippe Coutinho to obviously finance the Van Dijk and Alisson.
Yeah, what a great
deals.
move! What a great move!
Yeah, and you know, like, for the few years that we were doing Premier League Live, there was certain games. I remember Jason McAteer was part of our commentary team that day. Liverpool lost 2-0 away to Hull, and the text coming in like, you know, this isn't going to happen. Like, Lucas is playing as a centre half, and Umar Niasse scores a breakaway goal, and you're just thinking, you know, is Jurgen Klopp really going to be able to turn this around? And just so much anger coming through the text line. And Klopp just, you know, he kept saying, just, you got to be patient. All those finals they lost. But in reality, a lot of those finals, Liverpool were underdogs. Apart from last season's Champions League final, you could argue maybe about the Europa League final against Seville. But when they're playing the likes of Real Madrid or in League Cup finals against Manchester City, they were underdogs, and they had overachieved to get to the final. They couldn't quite get over it.
Yeah.
But just the fact that they won it last season, and I think psychologically as well, the fact that they went toe-to-toe with City and just finished a point behind them, put the pressure on City this season, basically to say, if you slip up, we are going to be there. And look what it's done. City 23 points behind. And I'd say even if Real Madrid were watching that game last night, they'd be rubbing their hands thinking, do you know, we could turn this Champions League tie around against Man City.
Phil Egan, good stuff. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Dad.
From Phil Egan to Phil Thompson. Phil, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, yeah. I'm very happy. Very happy. A little bit hungover.
I was going to say, I'm delighted you woke up to take the call. I was like, I'm a bit concerned about everybody else we have calls lined up with this morning as well, that they're not going to make it up for us.
No, I knew, and I'd set my alarm for you anyway. So, and no, we've had plenty of chats on your channel with Ivan and everything over the years, good banter, and I wouldn't have missed it this morning.
Come here, what was your overriding emotion as the second goal goes in last night and you realise that it's actually going to happen, that not even a global pandemic is going to stop this, Phil?
No. And I think we knew it was going to happen, and people were looking at ways what it might happen. And with this Manchester City team, a total admiration for them. I certainly was expecting them to win last night. And I thought, well, that's only right, because this team, my team, has something special and deserve. Throughout this pandemic, it's been really hard, and the players have shown such a great character throughout it. I thought, I want them to get the just desserts on the football pitch, playing. Yes, it'll be in an empty stadium, but I wanted them to feel that emotion, to be together. And the scenes when they were in that hotel last night, I'm glad they were together. Obviously, they looked as though they were sitting apart. They probably made sure that they were. I thought it was great because it's that feeling, that emotion. You know, I'm quite proud to have done it 7 times. But the way it's hyped up now, it's been 30 years in the waiting. It was absolutely wonderful, and they are a very special team.
They're a really special team, and I was so delighted that after the Everton game, there was just a concern that the break was going to mean that everybody was playing bad football for a while because they just weren't sharp. And
absolutely.
And then the Crystal Palace game happened, and they were 4 sensational goals, and they were back to everything that we knew they could be. And it just felt good as a neutral to see this Liverpool team perform the way we knew they could at the end of the season.
Absolutely, and I think I don't know, Jay, whether you watched some of the Bundesliga, the first week of it, the first round and the second round of games. That was quite similar. Trying to get used to the crowd, trying to get used to no crowd being there. The games were quite flat, and then they picked up. I think the players got used to it, and then I think there was really some good games. Maybe that's what we're going to see to finish this Premier League. But you're quite right. The game against Everton was dull and boring. There was nothing was sharp. It's quite easy pre-season to sort of line your team up defensively to just get a good line on the edge of your box than it is to be creative and be sharp in that area. But that game against, and I know the 4 goals were quite exceptional, but it was the quality of play, what we've known for them, the gegenpressing which Jurgen brought to the club, that high press at times, you're going, wow, this was quite exceptional what we were seeing. And I'd watched Crystal Palace against Bournemouth. I know it was Bournemouth, but Palace looked good. They looked strong. They looked good on the counter. They had good things going for them. And I thought, ooh, these have hit the ground running. And we wiped the floor with them. So it was a special performance. And hopefully we get a few more games like that.
Phil, it hasn't been a straight line for Liverpool over the last 5 years in terms of success under Jurgen Klopp. There were periods in those first couple of years where there were difficult results, and there were moments where the crowd maybe weren't fully convinced that he was the one who was going to bring them to this promised land. When did you first realise that actually he had built something very special here?
Well, you knew what he'd done at Dortmund and how he played, and similar teams, if you want, similar cities. You're looking and you think, you've got to believe in this guy. This guy is a good. And yes, I totally agree. I was talking to somebody and I said, I don't know what it was, a couple of Octobers ago, and Jurgen had been here. People calling for his head. It was that October, November. I'd been here 1 year, 2 years. And I was thinking, this is ridiculous. Where are we going to get another manager of this ilk? This guy, we have to believe in him, and trying to tell people, convince people. But there was the phone in full of it, and I thought, this is crazy. But you had to give this guy time. But look back, somebody was showing the team that he sort of inherited against Spurs a few years ago, and you went, goodness gracious, you had Sacco and Skrtel at the back, 2 raw, and you're seeing the chance that Sacco was taken the other day. That's what you had to deal with. And he waited and he got it right. Don't forget, not just 5 years, 10 years ago, it's just gone. This club were going into administration when FSG took them over. So it's been quite a big turnaround. We had to believe in the owners, we had to believe in Jurgen, and now we're getting the rewards. It's not only lifting of trophies, some of the football is quite exceptional. For Liverpool to finish top above a great Manchester City team is quite phenomenal.
I think that's a good point, actually, the role of the owners in all of this and the transformation. Even when you go and see Anfield and how... Because I remember covering stories about how some of the fans and some of the people living around Anfield were upset with the way the club were handling things. And then the club hired a load of people who worked in the area to explain to them what they needed to do and started to do things in a way that was in tune with the locality. It's a very unusual thing where Most of the ownership groups who come in are doing it for their own ends, and I'm sure FSG are going to be ultimately super profitable in all this. But they realise that the best way to be profitable is to have a team that reflects the culture of the city and reflects the traditions of the club.
Absolutely, and that's what it was. They were quick learners because they'd seen that what Hicks and Gillette had not done, and they've gone oof. And I think they did quite quickly. What they'd done in Boston, they replicated on Merseyside. They didn't want to sort of upset. They didn't make promises that they weren't going to be able to keep. They weren't sort of pronouncing that we're billionaires and we're going to absolutely throw loads of money at it. They were clever. And listen, I'm like that. I want a 80,000 seat stadium. I want this. They've gone, hold on a minute. They did things. They've done that new main stand, which if you've been there, guys, it is quite astonishing. And I'm going, well, why didn't they do the Anfield Road at the same time? Have one lot of mess and get it done with. But they've been clever because they've kept money to make sure that goes to building the side as well as building the stadium. People want to move away from Anfield. No, they did the same in Boston. And you're seeing it. And the Anfield Road will get done when we get through this pandemic and when the finances are right. And that is what they've brought. They've brought a lot of sense to the purchasing of players. And Michael Edwards behind the scenes, who has done the due diligence, what they do on players is quite extraordinary. And all these people, little pieces have been put into place to make this team. Hopefully, I hope that it's the cycle again. There'll be a lot of football clubs and fans who don't want to see the Liverpool cycle come round again. But it looks as though it's here for a few years to come.
Who does get the credit for signing those players, Phil? Is the transfer committee still in operation? How does that actually work?
Yeah, they do. But as Egan said, and I remember him a couple of years ago, he says, yeah, it's fantastic, and these guys do. People talk about the Moneyball situation, how they look at players and what they see and what they can actually bring. Not as a player. We've seen bad eggs at a lot of football clubs, and it doesn't help the mood and the attitude and the dressing room, particularly when things start going wrong. So you have to look into it. Yes, they have this committee, but as Jürgen said, he has the final say. If he doesn't think it's right, and he listens to everybody, and it's wonderful because he's got a fantastic way about him, Jürgen. He doesn't say, I'm the cleverest man in football. I need good people around me. And I think that is such a shrewd way to look at things. And he relies upon them. But I think if he doesn't feel and doesn't see that it's going to be right for the club and for the team, it doesn't get done. So the buck stops with him, and rightly so. I think that should always. But the people who have worked, it has done extremely well, and it's great. But I think you've still got to keep on doing that, and that's why you keep on. In this Liverpool team now, guys, I think you have to improve while you're on top, and it's not to rest. And my opinion, I still would have gone for Timo Werner, and he could have sat on the bench for a while.
Yeah, well, look, it's going to be interesting to see who they do sign in the summer, and if anybody actually ends up leaving. Phil, one last question for you. Steve McManaman last night on telly goes, this is the greatest Liverpool team ever.
Sorry?
Yeah, go on.
Listen, we have had some absolutely fantastic teams, wonderful sides. It is possibly 1978-79, I've always said, has been the greatest Liverpool side. Attack and defence, midfield, everything. The blend was astonishing. But in this modern day, to compete against some of the wealth of these football clubs and the players that have been brought into our Premier League, it is possibly the greatest Liverpool side ever. There's just something special about the aura of it. To go 97 points last year, guys, 97 points losing one game was absolutely incredible, and not win the league. And a lot of people thought, well, you've had your chance. You can't repeat that again, not against Manchester City and the other teams. And they did. So, yes, to do it in the background of the likes of some of the super clubs, as we call them now, it possibly is the greatest ever Liverpool team.
Right, that is high praise coming from a genuine Liverpool legend, Phil, and not just a legend in your playing days, but a legend for setting your alarm clock for us and getting up this morning. I really appreciate it. Thanks a million, man.
I wouldn't have missed it. My pleasure, guys, and have a good morning.
Congratulations to you and to all the Liverpool fans out there this morning. Nathan is going to disappear for a little while, but we'll be back a little bit later on as well when we're talking with David Meyler. So people are wondering if, Nathan, is this your final coming out party as a Liverpool fan? Because it's been hinted at in the past.
No, I'm a football fan, Ger, first and foremost. And as you might have seen last night, I was getting a lot of abuse for my pro-Manchester City commentary off the ball, as just talking up how brilliant that they can be at times. So I apologise again for outing myself as a real supporter of what Pep Guardiola's trying. Listen, I just like good football. I just like watching good football, and I've seen a lot of it at Anfield over the last couple of years. It's
8:35 a.m. here this morning, and if you believe that, you'll believe anything. 0879 180 180 is the number. Hashtag OTB AM. It's a Liverpool love it. I'm sorry for the fans of everybody else out there, but that's what we're doing. Mark Lawrenson is going to join us next. We've got David Meyler coming a little bit later on, and Graeme Souness, all to come before 9 o'clock as well, so stay tuned.
OTB AM on OTB Sports Radio, Ireland's first and only sports radio station.
Looking for a football show with a bit of a twist?
So I know the likes of Griezmann's big into his fashion.
He wanted a lot. One question he actually asked me was, could he make his studs light up when he runs?
Team 33, the football magazine show for the football purists.
Yeah, the Nike Mercurials from 1998, if you just show that boot to an entire generation of people, and they just get instantly nostalgic and remember everything from that era.
The very best interviews with the cult heroes of the past, and a look at the cultural side of football. Team 33, live at 9 p.m. every Friday on OTB Sports Radio. Live 24/7 on the OTB Sports app.
Missing this?
When that didn't materialise, I think both Paulie and myself probably looked at each other and kind of thought, what next?
Then get this, the all-new OTB Sports app. Off the Ball, Ireland's premier sports channel, now has a new home, featuring the biggest names in Irish and world sports. Podcasts, interviews, news, commentary, analysis, plus almost 20 years of sporting archives. All free and ready when you are, at home or on the go. The new OTB Sports app. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play.
OTB AM.
Right, if you're watching us here on OTB AM this morning on video, then you're seeing some shots here from the Anfield wrap at the stadium last night. And Jenny Kirkham from the Liverpool Echo in the town centre. Amazing scenes, really. And I don't expect anybody was too worried about social distancing last night. And after 30 years, what can you really expect? So that's video from the Anfield wrap, and really amazing scenes outside Anfield last night. And I think we've got some back pages for you now. Should we let the video run there for a minute, will we? This is all right. This is Jenny Kirkham from the Echo News there as well. But actually, we've got Mark Lawrenson with us. Mark, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm a little bit hungover, but I'm good, obviously.
That's good. I'm delighted because Phil Thompson came on 10 minutes ago and said exactly the same thing. And I'm going to say the same thing to you. Thanks so much for getting out of bed for us. It's great.
I've not been to bed, Joe. So probably after this, I'll turn my phone off and go and get a couple of hours kit. So yeah, we've had a fabulous night, and obviously it doesn't really matter how you win it. Of course, you would love to win it in front of your own supporters in a perfect world, but of course, this world is far from perfect, as everybody knows. We've won it because we're the best team, and you know, to have won it with 7 games to go is an outstanding achievement because there's some really good sides in this Premier League. We were playing the pre-match intro to the Man United game a little bit earlier on. We had live commentary that day, and you couldn't actually hear Nathan on commentary giving out the team news and telling you what was happening because the crowd noise was so loud. So in many ways, they did actually win it in front of their fans all the way up to the last 2 games. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, everybody has known about the performances. I mean, and throughout the season they've had, I mean, they lost at Watford, if you remember that day when the wheels came off, which you're allowed to do, but the consistency, the way they've played, the pace of which they play, the formation they play, which is very, very difficult to counteract, and you know, that you've seen all the supporters. I've got the telly on here. I could see them all outside Anfield last night. I mean, the police were never, ever, ever going to stop them going near the ground. And it's all light-hearted and good-humoured. So it's fabulous. I mean, 30 years is an awful, awful long time to wait. And hopefully, you know, we might even do it again next year. But it's going to be difficult.
It is going to be difficult, but at the same time, it feels possible. It seems like anything is possible with this team and this manager and the ownership and everybody and the fans, obviously, all being a combined unit in a way that many other teams, you know. So the Manchester City project is an interesting thought experiment, but like it's not the same as this.
No, and I'm glad you mentioned the owners, because the great thing about the American owners is they trust the manager. They let him get on with his job. Plus, you know, the head of recruitment, who obviously needs a massive mention. I think it's Michael Edwards, because they haven't got any of the players coming in, just haven't got it wrong. The managers improved them all as well. But as I say, the owners, they've got a sporting franchise in America, as we know. So they know that sometimes in sport, it's not a perfect world. You get injuries, players lose form, etc. So they need a massive thank you. But the manager is just... he's everything to this football club. You know, he kind of welcomes all us ex-players as well with open arms, and he says to his players, you know, look, the teams that these played in, this is what we want to do. Unlike one or two previous managers who were a little bit frightened of all that kind of stuff, but he just got it, Klopp, hasn't he? Everything about him. If you see him day to day at Melwood at the training ground with everybody, he's just the same. You know, from your Mo Salah down to the cleaners, to the lad on the gate, all those kind of things. He just treats everybody in exactly the right way. And there is, when you meet him, he just has this aura. I mean, he's a great big fella anyway. He's a little bit threatening, but he has certainly got this aura. But he's also a very, very intelligent man.
That's really interesting about the relationship with you guys and the former players, because for so many eras, I presume it was just quite suffocating, you know, maybe except when Kenny was there, because he actually was part of it and understood it. But for everybody else, these are like, the cups are there, and they're, you know, it's a big cup. And then the trophies are there in the trophy room, and the pictures are on the walls, and it's like, oh, Jesus, are we ever going to be this good?
Well, also as well is, I mean, loads of us after we stopped playing ended up being pundits, you know, good or bad. So it's non-stop if you're the manager. I mean, there was a case a while ago where I won't name the manager. He took kind of stuff out of the museum because one or two of the pundits were criticising the way that Liverpool played, etc. But Klopp's just not like that. You know, his view is, well, if you're criticising us, we're not playing it very well, etc. So, and it is a special football club, and you know, people say, well, you're bound to say that, but it just has something about it that's different from a lot of other clubs. You know, Hillsborough, Heysel, all those kind of things. It's been through an awful lot, and you know, at the moment, obviously, very, very, very successful. It's just got to kind of kick on now and keep winning trophies, and if they do, I wouldn't mind betting that they may, if they keep going, turn out to be the best bunch of players we've ever had, ever.
That is certainly where the conversation seems to be going. The league last year, when they hit the 97 points and don't actually win it, the Champions League, where, you know, there's the incredible comeback against Barcelona, but there's also, you know, no doubt that they're going to win that final ultimately, and everybody thinks, yeah, you are actually probably the best team in Europe, and only City can kind of hold a candle to you, and then you blow City out of the water this year. It's not even close.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that was a big turning point. I think we played City at home in November, and you know, we blew them away that day. I think they kind of realised, thinking, oh, crikey, this is going to be really difficult. So they didn't quite get their recruitment right. City, they lost company and didn't really replace them. So that was a bonus for Liverpool. But I think everybody in the league, they look at the way that Liverpool play, you know, and the problem teams have against them, it's just the pace at which we play. It's the intensity. Think about the manager. He's made good players into very good players into outstanding players, and outstanding players in a few occasions to world-class players. And that's all you can ask as a coach. If he improves every single player, which he has done, and the ones that he hasn't improved. He's just got rid of. He just said, no, I'm not wasting my time dealing with them. So that's the thing about him. He's improved all the players. So if you own a football club at whatever level, if you've got a manager stroke coach that does that, well, that's his job, isn't it? And that's the perfect world.
There's one other aspect to that. His style of play has actually evolved. We were talking about this a little bit earlier on, and how it used to be it was rock and roll was kind of the style, but actually...
Yeah, heavy metal.
Yeah, heavy metal. Nathan was making the point that actually now they're happy to suffocate you by keeping the ball, that it's not just get the ball forward really quickly and press and press and press, that it has evolved over the last 18 months into a more structured game as well.
Well, they can play either way. I mean, if you watch them when they kick off Liverpool, when they have the kick-off, they go straight away diagonal. They play so many diagonal balls, but there, lots of people whose opinion I would respect, who've been in football a long, long time, will just say, they can play long, they can play short, they can vary the game. That's why they are so good. But one thing about them is when they're playing, they play at such a pace. It's very, very difficult for opposition players to deal with that throughout the 90-plus minutes. And, they just basically run teams off the park in many, many ways. And also, if you look through the spine of the team, it's outstanding. I mean, the signing of Henderson and Van Dijk was absolutely inspired. The front three, the two fullbacks, are the two better fullbacks in world football. I haven't seen them if there are. So everywhere you look, they've just got outstanding players, but also with a fabulous attitude, which comes from the manager.
This is going to give the city of Liverpool such a huge lift. I mean, obviously, they knew that this team was on the precipice of doing this for such a long period of time, but then all of a sudden, the weird scenario of a global pandemic hits, and I'm sure for a couple of weeks at the start, everybody was like, oh, gee, is the season actually going to be allowed to finish? What's going to happen here? But justice has been done.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the pandemic, so we've all had to kind of cope with that, and there's thousands of people, unfortunately, who've lost their lives. And I think Klopp also said that, playing football was an important thing in his world, but not an important thing in everybody else's world because of Corona, COVID, etc. But yeah, there was a spell where we kind of thought, they're just going to forget about the league, what were they going to do, etc. But obviously, I think everyone's delighted. Well, all the Liverpool fans are delighted that they continued to play, and I think it was the right decision as well. Yes, it's difficult because there's no supporters, but you try telling all the thousands who turned up at Anfield last night that it doesn't really matter, because it certainly does.
Yeah, and the tens of thousands who showed up every week in, week out for the rest of the season. Yeah. Mark, enjoy your bed, and if there's a bit of breakfast to be had before that, enjoy the rest. It's well earned.
Well, I've done nothing. I just enjoyed myself, but happy days.
Well, look, you're a thought leader for all the Liverpool fans out there. Good man. Thanks a million for joining us this morning.
Pleasure.
And congratulations. It's Mark Lawrenson, almost ready to anoint this team as the greatest Liverpool team ever. It's certainly one of the conversation trends for us this morning here on OTB AM. If you want to get involved, 0879 180 180 is the WhatsApp number. Or, of course, you can always use the hashtag OTBAM. Graeme Souness is going to join us next this morning here on OTBAM. First, let's hear from Jamie Carragher chatting to Nathan Murphy earlier on this season about the impact that Van Dijk has had on this Liverpool team.
I'd love to play for Jurgen Klopp as a manager, without a doubt.
Did you like the sort of manager who'd put the arm around the shoulder and...
Well, I don't know, because I never had one.
Literally.
No, but listen, I think he is a different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
Klopp. I think he is a one-off in some ways. And I agree, managers help me a lot, but he is a one-off. He's a special character. He's just the type of fella you look at and you think you'd like to be around him, wouldn't you? Or, whether that was at a football club, going for a meal, going for a drink, whatever that may be. But no, I'm not certainly one of those people, and I think it does happen in football. With a lot of people who retire, they never want a player in their position to play or be. See, perfect example is Van Dijk.
Yeah.
I mean, before Van Dijk come along, people used to. It was great for me. People would say, "Oh, Liverpool haven't replaced Jamie Carragher."
Yeah.
Well, they fucking replaced him now, haven't they? Twofold. But no, I mean, it wouldn't bother me to go on. Not bother me. I mean, I tell everyone on TV now, Virgil van Dijk is the best centre-back in the league, and I think he's the best centre-back in the world. That wouldn't... I think other players might sort of try and, in different positions, he wasn't as good as me, or he wasn't as good. He's a better player than me, so I'm an absolute idiot to say anything else.
But he just replaced the Sammy Huppier in the best Liverpool team of the last 25 years.
Yeah.
He'd be your partner.
Yeah, of course. You can't have two big ones, can you?
That's Jamie Carr there speaking to Nathan a while back, and he was in great form last night. But so too was our next guest, Graeme Souness. Graeme, good morning to you. How are you?
Well, thank you. Very, very well.
A little bit emotional, I suspect, last night for all of you guys to finally see that 30-year famine broken. It was such unusual circumstances, but I think with the passage of time, all we're going to remember about this Liverpool team is not that they won it in the time of COVID, but it's going to be the quality of football, the attacking verve, and the brio of the side.
Yeah, I think, first of all, when you say emotional, yeah, I did. You know, when I got emotional when all the other guys were on the telly with us. We were all sort of same era, and it sort of struck home. God, it has been a long time. You know, when you see we've all changed. But that's when I thought, yeah, I think this is a special moment. You know, 30 years has been too long. But they've done it, and I expect over the coming years for them to be challenging every year. I mean, with that team, with the structure of the football club, with the manager they've got, I would expect over the coming years, Liverpool are the team you're going to have to be better than to win both the Premier League and the European Cup. You know, in cups you can only get unlucky, have one bad night in the first year. But I think in the league, you know, they are a very special team. They really are a special team. You don't just talk about the last 9 months or this season. You have to go back to the previous season. The consistency levels have been off the charts. They really have. And that's the thing for me. And I got a chance to ask Jurgen that last night. And, you know, as you would expect, he just put it down solely to the type of players he's got. But his input in creating that and achieving that can never be underestimated. To get players to that level every time they go out and cross the white line. Because whoever Liverpool play, whoever United play, whoever City play these days, it's a cup final for the team you're playing against. So you've got to be bang at it. And Liverpool's consistency, as I said, is off the charts.
How, as a manager, do you get that consistency? Because it's a weird collection of different things. It's tactics, it's motivation at an individual level, at a collective level, it's strength and conditioning, it's signing the right people.
Well, it's not tactics. It's not tactics. It's certainly, you know, if you've got the right players, you've got the right leaders. I'm a great advocate of you've got no chance of being successful unless you've got good senior players, and Liverpool have them. You know, they've got some fabulous senior pros. You know, the captain looks as if he leads from the front. Don't know what it's like on a daily basis, but I'd imagine what you see is what you get every day of the week. And I would think people you might not expect to be able to, like Firmino, the shift he puts in every time he plays. Manny, you know, these are people that just won't lie down. I was thinking about it this morning because I knew I was making this call. And normally in a league season, when you think about it, there's a team saying who's finished second or third, only if we hadn't lost that game or only if we hadn't drawn that one at home, if we'd beaten this team. There's no argument, is there? I mean, there's nobody can say that this season. Liverpool just blown everyone out of sight. They've been sensational.
And when you think about the team that they're up against in Manchester City, who have had a decade of investment at a level that we've never seen in world football before, who have a manager who is one of the greatest managers of all time, to beat that team and to run them so close last season, but this year to blow them out of the water, it is an incredible achievement.
Yeah, what you have to say. I mean, Liverpool have been off the charts, but the challenge not really been there, has it? I mean, if you think Man City have lost more games, I think 7 games. No, it's 8 games now they've lost this year, and that's twice as much as they did over the last 2 years. So there's not been a challenge from United or Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, really. But it's when you're a player, all you can concentrate on is, if you're a manager, all you can concentrate on is your job, and that's how the focus has been. You know, there was no easing up when they went 10, 12, 15 points ahead. It was like, it was like a machine that was just grinding along, and that again takes some doing. You know, the difference with winning football matches at the highest level can be 1%, 2%, 3% on any given day. When you get yourself 15 points ahead, there's a temptation. It's human nature to get yourself in the armchair and come down a 1% or 2%. They never did that. They just kept that same momentum, the same aggression, same desire to win, and they were fabulous throughout. And I fully expect them to go on and break all records this year. I think They've got 7 games to go and they've won the league. I remember one year when I was a player there, we won the league. It was Bob Paisley's last year. We won it with 5. I think there was 5 games to go. And then we got in our armchair. Never won another game. And I think it was the last game of the season against Aston Villa. I was sitting there, I'm captain, I'm trying to wind them up. I said, look, we've got to win this last game. I think it was home to Aston Villa, and we got a draw. But I don't expect that from this team. I think, the focus will remain. And that's the type of players they are.
In a weird way, some of the setbacks that Klopp had in the early stages of his Liverpool career, when they were losing finals, might actually have helped to turn that relentlessness into an everyday requirement. You think back to the Europa League final, you think back to games against City, and
Champions League final.
The Champions League final, indeed. From that point forward, they have been absolutely relentless.
Oh, yeah, there's 2 very obvious things you can point at. I mean, signing Alisson and signing Van Dijk. If they had played in the European Cup or the Champions final against Real Madrid, I think they would have beat them. I can't tell you what people say. 1 player, 2 players don't make a difference. Yes, they do, and there's the evidence of it. They are top performance. What a piece of business. That you can look back, I think, and say that was a turning point from being a team that was going to get to a final, but they're up against a really good team, not sure, to now whoever they play against, you're fancying them. They sell Coutinho, and they buy Alisson and they buy Van Dijk, and they end up with about 30 million quid in change after that. That was a wonderful piece of business.
There's a case that it might be one of the best transfers in the history of the game.
Say that again?
There's a case that it might be one of the best transfers in the history of the game.
Well, certainly from Liverpool's point of view. I mean, Van Dijk, I was like most people, saw him in Scottish football, thought, I think he would cut out in England. It's quicker, it's more aggressive, brighter players. I mean, I was hoping I was going to get a chance to interview him last night. And, you're thinking before you go on there, what will you ask him? I was going to ask him if he had a sweat on this season. I mean, I looked at him at the end of the games. I'm looking on his shirt. There's no sweat. I mean, he looks like he's just jumped out of a shop window, Marks and Spencer's window. I mean, he's like a film star, isn't he? I mean, he's got a fair bit going for him. I mean, he's a real player. He's a real player. Did you have Mark Lawrenson on before?
Yes, we did, yeah.
Did you ask him about Van Dijk? What a partnership that would have been, those 2. Good luck with that, playing against them 2.
It would have been him and Lawrenson. Would Lawrenson have got in that team ahead of Hansen?
Well, Big Al's a really good friend of mine. And I think there were different types of player. But Lawro would compliment anyone. Lawro, people wouldn't associate this word with Lawro, but Lawro was a proper warrior. Lawro liked to hurt people. He wouldn't admit to that, but he did. He did. I've trained with him every day. Lawro liked to leave a bit on people.
Right.
And they would have played together. But let's get out of making that choice. Let's say what a 3 they would do.
Okay, fair enough. That's a very political answer there, Graeme. It was delicately done, like a perfectly threaded through ball.
Yeah, they would have been special.
Well, let me tell you what Mark Lawrenson did say. He did, at the end of the conversation, say, if they keep this up, they could actually be the greatest collection of players we've ever had.
Well, it's the way of the world today, the amount of media interest. This team has a chance. You've got to remember, and there's no team done it. We dominated Europe and domestically. Man United didn't do that in their 25 years. We did that. So this team have a chance of doing that. When you factor in, the age group of that back 5, they could play a decade together. If you're thinking Gomez comes in, to Robertson, Trent Alexander, Van Dijk, Alisson, that could be best part of a decade together. What a foundation that would be going forward. You just never know. I mean, Man City are going nowhere soon. Man United are only going to get stronger. Chelsea look like they've signed a couple of good players and will continue to invest in players. There's no guarantee that they'll have a chance, I said, over the next few years, certainly the next 2 to 3 years, I think Liverpool are going to be the team that if you want to win the Champions League or you want to win the Premier League, you're going to have to finish in front of them.
There's one last thing I just wanted to ask you, and it kind of brings us right back around to the start of the conversation that we were having about it being emotional for some of the other people who were on telly with you last night. Again, Mark Lawrenson made the point that Klopp has done very well in bringing the older players back and being comfortable in their presence, as opposed to it being a suffocating thing where, you know, the glory is in the past and you guys have to live up to that. It's like, hey, we're part of the same team, part of the same collective, and we're standing on the shoulders of the generations that went before us. Have you felt that around the club more recently?
Well, I don't live on Merseyside. I mean, I live on the very south coast of England. But when I go back there, I go back obviously to work on TV on a regular basis. But I hear that from other players, and that's great news. And I think that's a signal of, you know, Klopp he's comfortable with them being around, you know. And I think he's a very smart man, Jurgen Klopp, and I think maybe having these players around, it's just a reminder to the players. Well, some managers would be frightened of them; they wouldn't want them around. I think remember Klopp, he went into Leeds, took the pictures down on the wall of all the great Leeds players and what they had achieved. And I think at Liverpool right now, he wants them around as a reminder to the current players that this is a level we have to get to. So I hear that, and it pleases me, because there's lots of football clubs out there, you know, when you're finished playing there, you just become a memory, and no one wants to know you. But I know they welcome them back, so that's great to hear.
The other thing that I think it does is that it makes you guys part of what's happening now in a way as well. It's that this is a continuum, and in a way that's why I suspect the 30 years thing was so emotional for so many of your generation. Was like, geez, were we the last ones to do that? Was that the end of it for this club? But actually it wasn't. It was just that they went through a little bit of a rocky patch there, and you're now part of this continuing story.
You know, when you say Liverpool, if you look at the history of Liverpool in the last 30 years, lots of clubs would give their right arm for that, you know, if that's a proper term. You know, they still won trophies that didn't win the league. You know, Liverpool has still been a very successful football club, and that Premier League eluded them. And when it goes from the first division to the Premier League, then, you know, it's as if they've never won the league before. They just had a different title on it.
Yeah.
But Liverpool are one of the world's great football clubs. In fact, I think now they've won more trophies than anyone else in England. So, you know, they weren't going anywhere anytime soon. They've always been there, and they'll always will be there. You know, in my opinion, there's 4 clubs in the UK that are more than football clubs, that are institutions. There's 2 in Glasgow, and there's Man United, and there's Liverpool. And what makes them institutions is the passion and the emotions that they stir amongst the supporters. You know, the unique institutions. And I'm privileged. I've had 7 years there as a player playing for them. And City was great. I have a couple of years as a manager there. I've been very lucky to have been part of it, because when you look back in the unique history of Liverpool, it is a very, very special football club.
We saw what happened when Man United ended their famine, that there was a kind of a deluge after that, where the confidence that comes from being champions finally and getting over the hurdle unleashes a whole new wave of success. Is that your hope, to wrap this up? Is that your hope that's going to happen?
Yeah, I think, yeah, but you're missing one big factor in that. I mean, Fergie came along, and, you know, Fergie was, certainly in Premier League history, the greatest manager. And, you know, we know how monster Man United were, and they'll be back, and the challenge from them will be there. But going forward, Liverpool are going to be the team to be. In the immediate future, Liverpool are the team you're going to have to finish in front of.
It's a happy way to be waking up this morning. Graeme, thanks a million for taking our call.
No,
always great to talk to you.
Guys. Pleasure, guys. Thanks.
That's great. Graeme Souness, always very thoughtful here on OTB AM with us this morning. 087 918 180 is the number if you want to get in touch with us. I'm going to run you through some of the papers. We're going to start with OTBsports.com. Obviously, very Liverpool focused this morning on our website and, of course, on our app as well. Do we have OTBsports.com? We do, yeah. Liverpool Chief Executive with touching tribute to Sean Cox after a title win. So the Liverpool Chief Executive was tweeting immediately upon full time, including Sean Cox in the club's celebrations. We've got the video of John Giles singing You'll Never Walk Alone from our archives from 2005 up there as well. Liverpool end 30 years of hurt to win first Premier League title, the reaction to it. And that will continue to be, I think, the main story of today, and more than likely for the rest of the weekend as well. We've got the Liverpool Echo back page for you this morning next. I suspect this is going to be one for the collector's editions. There you go, champions, just a picture of 9 of the various characters involved, 8 players, and of course Jurgen Klopp in the middle. 16-page Premier League winner special inside. The Irish Independent is next for you this morning, and there you go, very simple. Champions, Klopp hails his incredible warriors. There's also a story there about the GA instructing clubs on the protocol for players contracting COVID-19. A press conference this morning from the GA around about 11 o'clock to detail the new championship structures and draw and confirm a lot of the stuff that I think we've known for a while. It's going to be no interprovincial or national club championship being played for 2020. The Examiner is next. And the Examiner back page, or front page rather, is sorry, there you go, that's the Irish, that's it there. Celebrations begin as Liverpool finally end 30 years of hurt, and that's a picture of a Liverpool supporter celebrating in front of it, and then some key moments from Liverpool's season across the year, and then how Klopp turned the doubters around is the bit there. So do we have one more? The UK Mail and the app for you. Cop Idols, Liverpool Premier League champions, 30-year wait finally over as Chelsea end City Challenge. A small picture of the Chelsea, but the main picture is obviously the Liverpool players celebrating. And then I'm just going to do the app as well here. The very latest on the OTB Sports app this morning. This is the feed, which you can personalise yourself. Of course, you can listen to our show. Just click on the radio button and there's live radio for you 24/7 on the OTB Sports app. The sports radio schedule today, OTB Gold, Michael Owen talking with Nathan, Graeme Souness with Keith Andrews at 2 o'clock, our roadshow with Steve McManaman, and our OTB AM interviews with Bruce Grobbelaar and Robbie Fowler coming your way from 5 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, it's Jason McAteer's career retrospective with Joe Malloy, and then obviously tonight's show from 7 will be live there as well. And don't forget the podcast network. That's the best place to get the 40-odd podcasts that we update for you on a weekly basis. Now, let's go on. David Meyler and Nathan Murphy join us. David, good morning to you. How are you as a Liverpool fan? How's your hangover as a matter of interest?
Oh, no, I'm not too bad, thanks. I had a few drinks last night, but no, I'm okay. It's a school night really here, so I've got 2 young kids, so I'm not allowed to drink too much.
It's always a school night, it turns out, when you've got young kids. We appreciate that, David. Don't worry. You don't need to explain it to us.
I know, but there's other people that might have to explain it to.
Come here. The end of this, I think, is going to be something that we remember for a very short period of time. But what we're always going to remember is the incredible attacking flair of this team and the relentlessness and the transformation from the team that Klopp inherited to the team now, which is one of the best teams that we've seen ever in the Premier League.
Yeah, no, look, they have to be. If you go back to the great teams of the Premier League, if you look at, Manchester United's team in '99, the Arsenal Invincibles, Mourinho's 04-05 team. I know a lot of Man U fans probably toss up between the '99 team and the 2008 team, and then of course the Man City team. But then this Liverpool team has to be, regarded up there. What an achievement for them, I just heard you talking to Graeme there about getting over the final hurdle. It's always been that last kind of step. And then obviously with this pandemic, we all were in doubt whether or not Liverpool would be able to win it. But, this team, I don't think they'll be remembered for all of them. It won't be just the front three. It'll be the midfielders, of course, the defence. You look at the fullbacks and then the goalkeeper. It's, I saw Jurgen Klopp talking last night, and it's just the group they have. It's a very special group, and you can see the togetherness of them. The videos are obviously coming out because they were all in a hotel last night celebrating together. They watched obviously Chelsea and Man City, but it's a remarkable team, and I think it will be a team that will be remembered.
There was one thing that Graeme Souness said that I'm not sure I agree with him. He said that they won the league with 5 games left to go, and they got the deck chairs out and couldn't even get it out for the last game of the season at home to Villa. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if Liverpool take the foot off the gas at this point, because they absolutely deserve it.
No, I don't think they will. Like, you've got to think, I spoke to Nathan yesterday for 5 minutes on the phone, and we were just saying, imagine if Man City, obviously lost last night, and then Liverpool play Man City next week, and then Man City were to beat Liverpool. I can guarantee you, this morning, they'll still be kind of celebrating. Obviously, they don't have a lot of drinkers in the team. But come tomorrow, they'll be focused on beating Man City, because now they are Premier League champions, and it will be kind of like, we can't exactly go there and get beat. I think they'll change they won't change their mentality. They'll keep going forward. And I know he'll want to win every remain in game.
It's a weird drive that they still have that, Nathan, to want to just ram it home at this point. But maybe, again, that's like when you're the big dog, you keep proving it. Oh, no sound off Nathan there. We've finally silenced him. No.
Oh, you finally.
Yeah, it's taken us a long time.
Apologies.
There you go, there you go.
Technology is tough, guys. Technology is tough. Turning on the microphone, you know. I would say it's been a long night. It's been a lot, but you know.
Especially when you're hungover, Nathan.
I'm not. I'm definitely not. I'm not like some of those Liverpool players. I know you say there's not many drinkers. I don't know if you've seen the videos. I don't know if you're on. You're getting many WhatsApp from your mates, David, but it looks like they've had a very good night.
Yeah, well, I think I went to bed last night about 2 o'clock in the morning, for whatever reason, and I was actually messaging Jordan. Like I obviously when the game was finished, I sent him a message and I tried to ring him and whatever. But then I was thinking to myself, why am I trying to ring him? Because everybody he knows is going to be texting and ringing him. Then he actually started messaging me back at about 2:30, and I was like tossing and turning in bed. But like, I think even he had a drink, and like he doesn't drink at all. I think he had a glass of red wine to kind of celebrate. But look, they all deserve it. For the lads who don't drink, just have one, you know, and enjoy the moment, because like it's surreal to think that Liverpool have waited 30 years to win the Premier League. They've come so close on so many different occasions, but they've never been able to do it. And then to think like, you know, Jurgen Klopp comes in and he just transforms them. And like you look at the signings he's made, every signing has been spot on. Everything about Liverpool has just clicked over the last, you know, 3-4 seasons.
Can you talk about that transformation and mentality then, the mentality that we expect to see them go on for the rest of this season and into next season and continue at this level? Because you played against Liverpool many times through the years at a time when there were questions around their mentality and questions about consistency and whether they could ever get to that level that they've got to right now. What's the biggest transformation when you look at this team to the team you would have played against?
Well, I think for this group of players, the Liverpool now, this is, of course, this is my opinion. I think, you know, winning the Champions League last year was like that, you know, monkey off their back where we can actually win a big trophy. They've always, like, if you go back, it had been obviously 2005 when they'd last won the Champions League. I know they'd won some, you know, FA Cups and whatever in between, but they won a big trophy, which gave them the lift that we can actually do it. They've always, you know, you look at the year before, they'd lost the Champions League final to Real Madrid. The year before that, they lost the Europa League. They'd always been like close, and Jurgen Klopp's teams have been close. But once they had gotten that taste of silverware, you just knew that they would kick on from it, because obviously winning drives, like you become more hungry. You know, there's that drive for success, and once they'd gotten that, I think they were like they're craving more and more. And like you can be like, look, next year is going to be even more difficult for them, but now they have that taste of winning the Premier League. You can guarantee that, you know, Jurgen Klopp will sit down, obviously, when this season is finally wrapped up, and he'll probably identify one or two players. Obviously, they have lads out of contract. They'll, you know, they won't change a lot, but they'll be hungry to win it again. And that's going to be the challenge for this team now. That, you know, if you want to be regarded as one of the greatest Premier League teams, they're going to have to go and win, 2-3 Premier League titles over the next 4 or 5 years. But I do believe the team is hungry. You look at, the age of them. Obviously, goalkeepers play till the late 30s, which is fine. Van Dijk is about 29. The two fullbacks are, obviously Trent is 21. Andy Robertson's 26, 27. Joe Gomez is 21, 22. And then the front three are all young. So, they have the squads, the depth. Youth is on their side. They can go and win the Premier League for the next 3-4 seasons comfortably.
You could see the emotion on Jordan Henderson's face last night when he was being interviewed, when Jamie Carragher was talking about the moment that will come in the next few weeks when he lifts that Premier League trophy. You've probably known him, 15 years at this stage. Mm-hmm. Just how seriously does he take that role of being Liverpool captain? What does it mean to him?
Well, I think for anyone who watched the interview last night, right, you could see obviously how delighted Jamie Carragher is being a Liverpool legend, played so many games. He turns to Jordan and says, like, Jordan, you're going to have a drink tonight. Because I know, like, probably those few hours, when he wakes up this morning, he'll be thinking about Man City next week. It probably won't sink into him till the season is done and he's on his summer holidays with his wife and kids, that there'll be a moment where he'll reflect and think, I am a Premier League, champion. He's one of 14 players to ever lift, the Premier League. I think, like, his mentality and drive from such a young age has got him there, but he's one that doesn't stop. He's kind of living in a bubble where he doesn't enjoy the moment. He'll be thinking about Man City now, and the times you've interviewed him, he's been interviewed by Sky, BT, whatever. He's always said it's the next game, and even like last night, it's hard for even him to admit like we're Premier League champions. He wants, like, you know what I mean? I know that. That's why I said to Ger a second ago, the drive from them now to go and beat Man City and go and try and win every single game, like, because they'll have that thing, well, we're champions now, let's show everyone why we're champions.
Can I ask you just a question about Henderson when he signed for Liverpool? Liverpool spent what was a fortune at the time, and
80 million.
And Damien Comolli got hammered for it because they were like, this is never going to work, this is ridiculous, you're signing him off the basis of stuff that might happen on, like, it seems that it was almost as if it was a football manager signing, and there was he was almost used as a stick to beat that whole time with. How the hell did he have the mental strength at that age, as a kid essentially, to come through that?
Well, I was talking to someone the other day about Jordan when he was younger. Like, Jordan was on the verge of being released from Sunderland. I believe he was about 14, 15, and it was a toss-up between him and two others who would get the contract, and eventually they gave it to Jordan. And I think probably that was the moment for him that, the penny dropped, and he said, like, I'm never going to find myself in this situation again. So, like, when he came to Liverpool and, when he kind of went through the tough times, I think he's always probably reflected back on that moment and said, like, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. I'm not going to leave anyone stand in my way. And he's had to deal with his fair share of criticism over the years. Some I've no problem is deserved. Other is just people, with opinions who don't know a lot about football. But if you speak to anyone, like, in and around him, involved with Liverpool, the England setup, like, it's just remarkable that this fella, like, has overcome all this. And then when you look back, like, he's a Premier League winning captain, a Champions League winning captain, a World Club Championship captain, or winning captain. He's done things that a lot of other players couldn't. And it's just remarkable. That is a testament to him as a person and as a player that, it's not as if he was a token captain, because he played a major role in the comeback against Barcelona in the final. He's played so many games this year in the Premier League where he's been pivotal to the team. Even when he was out, you could see that they missed him. And, like, you look at the World Club Championship, the semi-final against Monterrey, their manager came out and said he was the best midfielder in the world, which I think is a bit over the top. I think he's very good, but he isn't that good. But then you look at even, the World Club Championship final against Flamengo, he was brilliant. And he has been there and he's played his game and he's played his role as captain. It's not been like a token thing. And I do feel at times people don't give him the respect. But look, he's not bothered because, you know what I mean? Look what he's achieved. And just to think he's a young lad from Sunderland, who dreamt big, and, he's gone the whole way, and it's incredible.
Let me play you this, because you were obviously on commentary duty for us with Nathan at Anfield when the Spurs game happened. You were obviously...
Oh, he scored.
Both of us a lucky charm. Both of you were a lucky charm for him. And and I think there might be a player rating in the middle of this. Have a look.
It's time for David Meyler's player rating. 2 weeks ago, we were at St James's Park. Kieran Clark hadn't played a Premier League game since January and kept Manchester United scoreless. And he gave him 8 out of 10. He got his goal. What had he given him?
8.5. No.
What did he lose the 1.5 for?
He didn't score the winner, did he?
Harsh,
yeah.
harsh.
Well, it's harsh, but it's fair.
Do you think he's going to do all right as a pundit?
If you asked him, could he have done more in the game? If he could have done more in that game, he would have said yes.
Yeah, of course. I can do more and do better, of course. I'm very critical. So that's a generous score for us, I think. But will he do well as a pundit? I think he'll do very well. he's got the gift of the gab. Hopefully I'll see him a lot more on telly.
You're good with your time. Thanks a lot, George.
Yeah, that could have gone either way there. He was sizing that up.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe an 8.5 was a bit generous, because I like Nathan will tell you. This is just so, like, obviously, me and Nathan were after the game. We're sitting outside. We're waiting for players to come by and in the mix zone. And I turned to Nathan and I was like, kind of like, geez, I don't know how you guys do this, because like I've been on the other side where you're playing, you're thinking I can't be bothered to stop. But when you're on the mix zone side as a press, you're desperate to try and grab someone. And like, we could always, and Nathan will tell you, all the games we went to Liverpool, there was Jordan and Adam Lallana, you could always count on. I'd say, I'll get one of them for you, Nathan. That one of them will do it. And even after that, we did that. Jordan took us into the players' lounge where we actually sat down. He was having dinner. Nathan was there, and he'll tell you, the lads were having food or whatever. And then I'll never forget it. I was looking straight at Jordan, and there was a telly on the left. Sky Sports was on. It was showing the goal back, and I said to Jordan, like, I went, oh, it's come off your shin. You've mishit it. Like, you know, it's not a clean volley. That was the goal against Tottenham. And I remember Jurgen Klopp then was there, and he went, oh, you were a top striker, Meyler. You were top striker. I was like, oh, jeez. Like, and even like, it's as weird as it is, I don't know, like, I kind of like feel uncomfortable not that I feel uncomfortable, when I'm with people like Jurgen Klopp, they all call him boss. So I call Jurgen Klopp boss. Even though like I'm not his player, like I know him through Jordan or whatever, I just call him boss because they all do, and I don't know what to call him. I'm not going to call him Jurgen, am I? So no, but you know, it's like Nathan will tell you, like, it's just when you're like, when we were there and we're covering the games that are off the ball and that, like, we get treated with so much respect. Everyone's so good to us. Everyone's so nice, and we get looked after. And it's like, I'm not saying that other clubs don't do that, but like, it's just a good feel factor in that club. And, you know, that's why, you know, I'm so happy for him, and I'm so happy for the other lads I know, and like, especially the manager. They've deserved it. The city of Liverpool will be probably wild for the next year. You know, it's just remarkable.
What's the atmosphere like when Klopp is around? Because it sounds like Klopp is standing there and you're actually having a bit of crack after a game.
Yeah, no. Just I'll stop him there because I don't think you realised at the time Klopp was actually there, because we were sitting, as you say, rather brilliantly straight after the match, giving a deep analysis to Jordan Henderson, how he got very lucky with his goal, bringing him right back down to earth. And Klopp had sort of snuck in the back door as David's giving his in-depth analysis, and I think he just appeared around the corner and took you down a peg or two.
Oh yeah, I didn't know he was there, because like the way I'm looking straight at the camera, the telly was on my left and I was looking that way, and then obviously Jurgen appeared in my blind spot. I couldn't see him, and then I just heard like Jordan just started burst out laughing, and then all our, yeah, you think you're the top striker, and then I'm like, oh Jesus, like, you know. But yeah, I didn't know he was there. I didn't know, but like.
The players are, listen, it's clear from talking to them the respect that they have and have to have for him, and the intensity that he brings. And I'd imagine there's a little bit of maybe walking on eggshells, and maybe they're there so long now they realise when it's nice Jurgen and when it's the serious guy. But you could tell even in those moments the level of respect, that the atmosphere did slightly change when he walked into the room.
Oh yeah, no, it's that's probably the key to being a very successful manager. You have to be able to find the balance. There has to be, like, you look at probably like Sir Alex Ferguson, Steve Bruce. Obviously, I worked so long with Steve Bruce as a manager, and he always spoke so highly about Steve Bruce. And there's even been times when you've heard Roy Keane talk about it, where, you know, Steve Bruce, Brian Robson, those were having cups of tea with Sir Alex. I imagine with Jurgen Klopp, it's a bit similar in the sense that he has that relationship with, you know, all the players. He wants to get to know them personally, wants to know their wives, you know, how many kids they have, what their kids called. So he has that affectionate touch. You know, I think that's key, that they know that he's there for them personally if there's a problem. But then also on the flip side of that, he can be serious too, to say, well, hold on a minute, this isn't right. And he has built up that relationship with the players. And like you guys have, you know, I spoke to Joe not so long ago, and I spoke about the time my dad was Jurgen Klopp's assistant, and then you had my father on and he spoke about it. But like, even for after the Champions League final, I was lucky enough to go to the after party, and like I said, Jurgen Klopp asks about my father, which it's just testament to the type of fella he is, that he remembered my father from just when he was his assistant, and then my dad never told me the in-depth chat they had about hurling and everything, getting into all the details, but it just shows you the type of fella he is, that he cares. He genuinely does care.
And that makes a big difference. Jason McAteer is with us as well. Jason, good morning to you.
Good morning, boys. How are we?
Yeah, pretty good. How are you?
A little bit worse for wear, mate. Cracked open nice bottle of Barolo to celebrate last night, and I went to bed about 1:45, and then the kids were up really early this morning, jumping on my head. But I did have a big smile on my face. I let them off today. Seems it's a special day.
Yeah, I mean, look, for somebody who is a Liverpool fan and an ex-Liverpool player, it is a special day, isn't it? And I know there must be a kind of a little bit of, it's a little bit bittersweet that it wasn't your group of players who managed to get over the line, but at the same time you could see the joy last night from Carragher, and I suspect you have exactly the same kind of sense of this is finally over.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, you live with that forever. We were a very, very good team, the one I played in, and we were favourites. Should have won the league 95, 96. We strengthened when again 96, 97, 97, 98, and we were always there or thereabouts, pushing it, and we just couldn't get over the line. But when you finish your career and you look back and you come so close, you do live with that regret, and you know that you'd let people down. And for our players as well, we got the Spice Boys tag, and which was a detrimental term, and it hurt us. We desperately wanted to win it. There was no doubt about that. We trained hard. We were equipped personnel-wise. Mentally, we just fell a little bit short, I thought. And, when you finish your career, like I said, and you live with that. So then all of a sudden you come out of it, and, I've been very lucky and honoured to sort of work behind the ropes with Liverpool and TV channel for the last 10, 12 years. But as an ambassador, maybe that's 6 years. So, I've seen the club where they were at with the last owners and the change of managers. And yeah, we come close with Brendan and Rafa. But, it just, since Egan walked through, through the doors, the club has just, it's just turned on its head. And the team behind the team, in respect of, Peter Moore, what he does, Billy Hogan commercially, the owners, how they back the manager, and then it just filters down into everyone else. They've all played their part and built this club and give them the opportunity to move forward in an age where, the finances, they've had to compete with the cities and the Abramoviches of Chelsea's, and, they've done that. They've done it their own unique way. Recruitment has been phenomenal, and, it's just been an emotional roller coaster over the last 4 years since Jurgen's been there.
And over the last couple of months as well, in a weird way, obviously, look, Klopp made the point about football not being important in a time of pandemic, but at the same time, you see what this means to the city of Liverpool and to the Liverpool fans, certainly to the Liverpool supporting side of the people of Liverpool. So football, we shouldn't underestimate the importance of people gathering and spending time together, watching something that they really love. So I think it's okay to talk about football in the post-pandemic world, but there was a couple of weeks there at the start of this where people were wondering, well, what are they going to do about this season? And maybe the season's going to be null and void, and maybe it's going to just be held in ether forever, and we kickstart next season. So justice was done, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not run its course as usual, and it's been slightly different. And we felt, at one point, like you said, it was never going to start again, and we were worried what was going to happen. And we got so close, and we're not going to do it, and we've got to go again next season. What's that going to be like? And so many questions, unanswered questions, and then they've obviously managed to get it back on, and in some way they've done a decent job. But football is a way of life, and on Merseyside, I mean, the closest thing I've seen is up north, the northeast with Newcastle and Sunderland. It is a way of life for a lot of people. They spend their money, they follow their team. It's very tribal. They talk about it. Monday to Friday, they go to games Saturday, they talk about it and have a debrief Sunday when they go out and watch the foot. It's just the way it is. You follow your team, you have your players, you discuss it, and that's it. And, Liverpool and Everton, they're exactly the same. Liverpool fans have waited a long, long time for this. It's been 30 years. Like I said, we've hit the bar and the post a couple of times, but to finally get over the line and like you said, to get it running again, we felt it was going to be an anticlimax. In some ways, I was on the phone to Peter McDowell, who worked closely with Liverpool TV, and I was saying to him, it's such a shame that we cannot get together and celebrate, what has happened, because it's phenomenal. The Champions League last season, what a party that was for 3 or 4 days. The tour around the city, 1 million people turned up. The playing, it was just phenomenal. And unfortunately, we can't do that. We're going to have to wait our time, but it'll come round, and I'm sure we'll celebrate then.
We knew they were a great team last year with the points total that they had and running Man City the whole way close. But equally, we know they're human beings, and it's unbelievably difficult to get yourself back up if you've lost a league title when you've given it your all and you've set records. In that context, maybe the Champions League is the thing that actually made this season happen and this season possible, because it was a bit of a release from, actually, it's okay, Man City are a historically great team, we're also historically great, but we can win stuff.
Yeah, I think if you're chasing somebody and you finish second, and it's kind of a good effort, and you'd always wonder whether you could go again and compete with them, it's one thing. But if you honestly believe, and we were gutted that we never won the league last season, we come so close, it was a phenomenal effort, but we felt we were as good as them. I got that sense around the players. It wasn't just a token effort, we almost did it. It was kind of, we were devastated that we never won it, and the players, they were devastated. But what softened the blow was the Champions League. And, the confidence and the psychology of sport, as you know better than anyone else, when you win something, it just puts you... If someone mentioned about dining at the top table, and it was a good analogy, to be honest, because that's how the players felt. They honestly believed that they were the champions of Europe. They were the best team in Europe. Devastated they never won the title. And like you said, they started the new season on that high with that confidence. And I've got to admit, I went on tour with them, and it was a bit of a disaster pre-season. It didn't go to plan. The games weren't great yet. There was players missing, obviously, because of country commitments and stuff. But pre-season didn't really go as smooth as they wanted to. They got really turned over at Napoli up in Scotland, and that was pretty close to the beginning of the season. And we all wondered, are we going to pick up where we left off last season? Are we this team? There was a few question marks over it. But then when they got in this side, momentum kicked in, confidence kicked in. Klopp had found his 11, and he tinkered every now and again, but consistently picked this strong 11, which we seen against Palace the other day. It really got in its groove, but there was a real resilience about them. I think I was looking last night, it was 15 games I think they've won. They've won by only 1 goal, if not 1-0, 2-1, or 3-2. So they've found a real resilience and a belief, and they've just gone from strength to strength. And unfortunately, City couldn't deal with that. They just fell away because Liverpool just kept chomping at them, kept biting at them. And in the end, City, I think, have psychologically just gave up. I think they just got tired of Liverpool, and Liverpool just took strides above them. And we are where we are. Yeah,
that's an incredible thing to do, to kill that City team the way they've done. Last question for you, Jason. Obviously, the last time that we saw a famine this long end in English football, it was Manchester United, and that unleashed an unprecedented period of success. I'm not saying it's going to be exactly the same, but the conditions for Liverpool are pretty good. They've got an unbelievable manager. They've got an alignment between the ownership, the management, and the recruitment side of it, and the playing staff is pretty young. So it's all set up for a period of Liverpool greatness.
It is, mate, and I mentioned the team behind the team. From a commercial aspect, they've got some great partners who put a lot of money into the football club. The ground's expanding, all the time. We're waiting for I think the Anfield Road is going to be next, which is going to be more bums on seats, create more revenue. Like you said, we've got owners that believe in the manager and give him what he wants, to be honest. Alex Inglethorpe is doing phenomenal with the academy, and these young players are coming through. The future looks very bright, and as you said, set up. But dominating, British football is not what it was in the 90s. It's very competitive. The players are coming in from all over the world. The scout systems are phenomenal. There's a lot of money to entice players to come to the Premier League. It's the strongest league in the world, so all the big players want to be here. And they do want to play for the best. I think Chelsea, Frank's done a remarkable job there, and you can see the way he's going with the young players that are coming in. And I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in 18 months. City will go again, I'm sure. We'll have to see what the band turns out to be, and whether Pep wants to stay and strengthen. We'll have to see what happens there. United look like they're moving in the right direction. So it's just always competitive. You're always trying to stay ahead and evolve. And I always think there's an element of luck when you're recruiting. You know, Liverpool have had some fantastic players been brought into the team, and nearly enough every one of them has worked. It's probably only Karius that you could probably point a finger at as being a failure for Klopp, but everyone else has been phenomenal. But you do need that little bit of luck. Players settle in, if you don't settle in, you need to carry it on. You know, and I think that the toughest job is to keep the hunger, and he's got a great dressing room at the minute, and I'm sure he will stay hungry, and I'm sure there's more to come.
Jason, congratulations, and thanks very much for joining us. Great to have you with us.
Lads.
Cheers, take care. David, the dressing room is something that you do kind of know a little bit about in terms of obviously the captain, but you obviously would know Andy Robertson as well a bit. And in terms of what his career path and his trajectory is, I think in some ways that's almost one of the most impressive jobs that Klopp has done, is take somebody and mould him into a player who is genuinely world class now.
It's remarkable. If you look at Andy Robertson when he was at Hull and he was playing week in, week out, he was always a good defender, but there was questions about him going forward, his deliveries, even to the case of his right foot. And then the opportunity came to Liverpool, and I expected him to go kick on and go up a level or two, playing with better players. Obviously working with Jurgen Klopp, I was like, he'll improve his game. But the level he has gotten to, I don't think anyone who played with him could have seen him getting to that level, which is full credit to him, because he's gone, he's applied himself correctly, he's done everything. And look, if you look at it now, for me, it's a toss-up between him and Alphonso Davies, who's the best left-back in the world at the moment. I think Marcelo's getting too old. His best years are behind him. He's still a phenomenal player. You've Jordi Alba, but then I think Andy Robertson, Alphonso Davies, and to think whatever it was, 4.5, 5 years ago, he was playing at Hull. Now he's a Premier League winner and a Champions League winner. It's an incredible journey to think this young boy from Scotland has gone on to achieve so much great success.
I'm just thinking, Ger, of one of the great sliding doors moments in life is when Jordan Henderson has that conversation with Brendan Rodgers about possibly leaving the club, and he put his foot down and stayed, and here he is, European champion, world champion, and now Premier League champion. And I know, David, you have a strange role in that. You were listening in.
Yeah, I know, but that constantly, that's what I mean. When I speak about him, I can't speak highly enough about Jordan because of the type of fella he is. And obviously, Brendan was looking around and said, maybe we can improve on Jordan. I think the player was Clint Dempsey, I'm pretty sure. And he just went, no, I don't want to go, and I want to stay, and I want to prove to you that I can play for you. And, hold and behold, Brendan ends up making him captain. And, Brendan at the time probably, looks back on it and says, maybe I was a bit too quick to make the call to move him on. And, he's gone on, and the success he's had, because then he started to feature more regularly for Brendan, and then it just, and then Jurgen Klopp comes in, who, transformed him. But to think he was so close to leaving, to then going on to doing what so many other Liverpool captains couldn't.
How did Klopp transform him, do you think?
Well, I do remember. I don't know exactly when the game was. Nathan might remember it better, but they played Southampton, and you remember Jordan scored. It was a time when they brought in Fabinho, and obviously Jordan had been playing, as they call it, as the sixth, the deep-lying midfielder. Now, Jordan never played there for years, and there was always questions about, his defensive qualities, in the sense of his positioning and his reading of the game. That was one thing I always felt, and I had many conversations with him about it, that he could improve on. And, when they signed Fabinho, you thought, every Liverpool fan, you can't say otherwise, just expected Fabinho to go boom straight into that slot. And there was a time when it was kind of Jurgen was rotating Jordan and Fabinho, whatever. And Jordan actually said to Jurgen that he wanted to play as one of the two ahead. And he was kind of and if you remember, he actually didn't play. I think Jurgen left him out about 2 or 3 games. And then it was the Southampton game. He came on and played in that more advanced midfield, and he scored. And that was kind of like where Jurgen kind of said, okay, you can do both for me. Because I think there was probably a question mark because he'd become so used to him playing as the deep line one that he thought that was his kind of role, and then he advanced on. But then you look at when I speak about the transformation, that like Jordan has become an exceptional defensive midfielder. And look, you've had Kenny Cunningham on. Kenny went on a big massive rant about Fabinho and that. I think Fabinho is an incredible player as well. But Jordan just has that, he's learned that sense of awareness on where the danger is and how to react. And if you really, like, if you're a Liverpool fan, in the big games, watch closely. Like, we all know there's always this argument, is, Trent, the big question marks over him defensively. There's nobody can ever question him going forward, with his goals, his assists, his deliveries, his set piece taking, everything is exceptional. But if you watch Liverpool closely, you'll notice the amount of times Jordan actually, when he's playing in the six, covers across, to allow Trent to get forward, because he understands his role in the sense that I'm going to have to fill in for my fullback to leave him get forward because it's better for the team. And at times when Fabinho plays there, he doesn't do as much work as Jordan going over covering him. And I think Jurgen, when I say Jurgen has helped him transform to get better, he's made him understand, where to be as a defensive midfielder.
That's really interesting, because it's kind of just good quality coaching has actually taken an asset that you have and made it almost twice as valuable, in that you can play him at 6, you can play him at 8, you can play him...
well, even if you remember, there was times when Jordan played centre-half. There was like, he's played centre-half, not many times, but that's like, that shows that the manager is, he's working with them. And if something does arise where, look, I had to play right back in many a game, just because, such and such had an injury or suspension, but you need to learn, and that's where you need to be able to go to the manager and you need to say, look, I'm a bit unsure of what I'm doing. Like the first big game I played right back was Germany away, when John O'Shea scored in the last minute on his 100th cap. But I'll never forget it. Like, I'd spoken to Martin O'Neill and he'd gone through what he wanted from me. But I was very fortunate because John played alongside me as a right centre-half, and I had John Walters in front of me. And I was there thinking, if I can't listen to these two and these two can't help me, then I've got no chance. And the two of them were unbelievable that night for me. And, just to guide you. And I think, like, that's what Jurgen has helped him understand the position better. And, like, look, fellas will disagree, but you have to put respect on his name. And that's just the way it is. What he's done and what he's achieved over the last, 4 or 5 seasons for Liverpool, it's been incredible.
I think it's an extraordinary career, and I think it's a good time to kind of to do the bit of deep dive that we're doing on at the moment, because, like, when you think back at the criticism that he's faced, it's to get to the point now where, as you just, you lay it out, European champion, world champion, captain of the Premier League team that ends a 30-year famine. It's an incredible achievement, and I actually do think the strength of character that he showed and coming back from all of those setbacks, where the money was such a big thing, and it must have been a bit of a millstone around his neck, to be able to keep that at arm's length and to get better as he goes. I don't think he's peaked yet. Like, you could easily see him peaking at 32. He's 30 now, I think, but over the next 24 months, like, getting even better still, because he's in a learning environment where everybody is actually getting better.
Well, that's going to be the challenge for him. I think certainly, this season and the back end of last season, probably from January onwards, that's the best I've seen him perform. Like, the level he has set for himself. Now, the question I'll put to him is, can you maintain that and can you kick on? Like, I worked with Mick Phelan, and he used to speak about Ryan Giggs, and he said when Manchester United won the Champions League, they had said no team has ever won it back-to-back. That was the challenge for Manchester United. That's how they raised the bar. They said no team has ever, and that's what they were striving for. Now, like, it's for Liverpool. Yes, we've won the first one, but can we win, 2 in a row? Like, there's no doubt that once this season finishes, these are the conversation. Like, the manager's going to be having the players. We need to come back and we need to be even better than last year. And that's, like, as Jason McAteer was on, like, that, like, the Champions League has driven success in them, and you get that you get that winner's mentality, and then, you know, you become hungry for it and you want more and more. Like, obviously, I do agree with him. It is probably more difficult to dominate like it was in, you know, the 90s when, you know, Manchester United, I think they were an incredible team. Now with all the money, like, I know I'm repeating what he's saying, but, you know, Chelsea look exciting. They've made some very good signings. Manchester United look like they finally clicked into gear with Solskjaer. You know, I don't think it'll be another few years for Arsenal, but of course, look, Man City, you know, they're going to come back and they're going to want to win it again next year. But that's the challenge now that Liverpool will face, is like, everyone's looking at us now as Premier League champions. What can we do going forward?
Yeah. And let's be clear, Ger. Jordan Henderson can get better, but he's still Footballer of the Year this year.
Is that because you backed him?
No comment.
I'll never forget that. Nathan said that to me. It was at Christmas time, just after Christmas. Nathan said I remember it might even be in the Spurs game. I don't know. But Nathan turned to me and said, I think your mate could win Player of the Year. And then we sat down and we divulged who was in the running. And I said, he's got a very good chance. And look, the thing is people are obsessed with this thing that the PFA Player of the Year has to be the best player. And if it's going to be the best player, then, you know, Kevin De Bruyne should win hands down. There's no question about that. Look, there'll be a case for Mane as well, I suppose. But on the flip side of that, you look at what he's achieved, Jordan, in the last 18 months. The level he has gotten to, the performance he's put in. I know people will take the piss out of me and say, like, oh, well, he should get, you know, when you're a kid, you get the most improved player. But he's done, like I said, he's joined an elite list of, you know, there's 14 different players have, you know, lifted the Premier League title, and he's one of them, you know. And how many of them have lifted the Premier League title, Champions League, and the club, you know, World Cup or Club World Championship, whatever they want to call it? There's not many, and, you know, he's definitely in the conversation.
Yeah, 100%. 087 9180 180 is the number to WhatsApp us here. Just a reminder that it's essentially Liverpool Day on OTB Sports Radio. You can get it on the OTB Sports app. Just search for OTB Sports in the App Store. And today we have Michael Owen with Nathan, Graeme Souness with Keith Andrews, our roadshow with Steve McManaman, and our OTB AM interviews with Bruce Grobbelaar and Robbie Fowler as well are all going to be up there all day. So it's essentially a day luxuriating in good quality Liverpool content. I just want to play this before you go, David, because you mentioned your dad's relationship with Jurgen Klopp, and here it is, an up close and personal look at what makes Klopp tick, and also getting a lend of his clothes. Have a look at this.
One of the funniest things, Joe, was that there was supposed to be gear involved, there was supposed to be tracksuits, there was supposed to be runners and that. And so I had turned up in my normal clothes, and Jurgen said to me, John, he says, where's your tracksuit? And I don't have a tracksuit. And so there was a young fella in and out helping, and Jurgen said to me, he said, go and get John a tracksuit. So he went out. 5 minutes there, he comes back in with a bright red, blood red, Cork hurling tracksuit, we call it, you know what I mean? So he put it on. So I had black shoes on, and he says, you know you cannot go out with a pair of black shoes on. And I said, is there boots or whatever? So he said the young fella out for a pair of white, to get a pair of runners for me. So a young fella came out, no runners, nothing. And so he said, I have a pair of runners here in the box. So he opens up a brand new pair of New Balance runners, gives them to me, and I said, Jurgen, they're white. I can't go out on a GA pitch with white runners on because I look terrible, you know. So I know how you feel, he said. So look, there was great crack there with that. And
I hope your dad wore the white boots, David. That's what I hope.
Oh, he did, yeah. He did. He wore the white trainers, because I remember there was a team photo, and it got sent to me by someone else. I can't remember where I was or what I was doing at the time. And I remember I clocked the white trainers on him, and I said, what are you doing, wear white trainers? And then he was like, I'd been given the gear and I had to wear them. Because, like, if you look at when he was manager, he always had, like, with Cork, he'd have the Bannister top on, but he always had, like, the Adidas golf pants on. And he always had the black shoes. Do you know what I mean? But He's right though. You couldn't wear white trainers on the side of a GA pitch.
Maybe you could now. Someone's going to have to be the first one to do it, right?
I imagine somebody probably along the line has, but certainly him being, he's 64 in August, but I don't think he's a white trainer kind of guy. But
I'm sure
in that moment, it's acceptable because 100%. Everyone else is.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I suspect that this hasn't quite sunk in for you as a Liverpool fan as well, but you're of an age where you kind of signed up for being a Liverpool fan thinking it was going to be nothing but champagne and roses the whole way along, and it's been like a long, continuous heartbreak. So congratulations as a Liverpool fan, David, and thanks a million for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
And enjoy what's coming next. That's David Meyler, one of the world's biggest Liverpool fans, and also giving us amazing insight really into the career development of his friend Jordan Henderson, who is of course the Liverpool captain. Now, just a statement coming through from Sean Cox. We've heard from his family this morning, and the statement goes as follows. Sean couldn't be happier for Liverpool being crowned champions and sends his love and congratulations to Jurgen Klopp and the entire club. The Cox family are so delighted that Sean got the opportunity to go to Anfield on a couple of occasions earlier this season and meet many of his LFC sporting heroes. Liverpool Football Club is a huge part of Sean's life, and he hopes to be back in Anfield before long. So it was noticeable too that in the immediate aftermath, the chief executive actually tweeted and spoke about how this was a victory that they were dedicating to Sean Cox as well as Peter Moore. Their number 19 is finally here. It's for our millions of fans near and far. We miss you. It's for the Reds that fell to the virus. It's for my dad who first took me to Anfield in 1959. It's for Sean Cox smiling in Ireland right now, and it's for the 96 who will never be forgotten. Which I kind of think that it was an amazing point that Graeme Souness made earlier on, that there are 4 institutions that aren't just football teams or businesses the way a lot of these other clubs are just businesses and have been asset stripped and are being used for sports washing and for whatever else. But he name-checked Liverpool, Manchester United and the 2 teams in Glasgow, and it is a bit Mescaine club. You can kind of feel that too. So 087 180 180 is the WhatsApp number here if you want to go and give us some of your thoughts this morning. You can use the hashtag OTB AM. This was sent in to us by Chris Sullivan Design, his wall art prints on Instagram. He also created the brilliant Kerry Legends photo that you'll have seen in our studios, which is now in my home studio at the moment, and we'll be hopefully making a reappearance here sooner rather than later. And we're delighted to unveil this print now of Jordan Henderson and Jurgen Klopp. Let's talk about 6, baby. That was it. So that is now available on his Instagram, and we'll be adding it to our wall here as well. So Chris Sullivan Design, wall art prints on Instagram, and more top quality work from him as well. John Aldridge, how the hell are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, can't be better.
We've had several of your teammates on, and they're all a little bit worse for wear. Mark Lawrenson claimed that he hadn't been to bed, and this was at 8:30 this morning.
Yeah, I don't blame him, to be quite honest. Yeah, no, we partied till the early hours. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, had to be done. It's been a long wait. It's okay. 30 years. That was the year I left the club. It's just ridiculous that we've won everything else before us, and this is the one thing that's eluded and finally got there. Absolutely fantastic, and as you said before, for the likes of the great fans that we've got around worldwide, and we have, and Sean Cox, that's very apt that Sean was mentioned this morning as well. That's fantastic, and the club have acknowledged that as well.
Tell me, what does this mean from your perspective as a lifelong Liverpool fan, as a club ambassador, as a commentator, as somebody who's played there, been a top scorer for them? What does it actually mean for you?
Well, I was fortunate when I was really lucky, because when I went to my first game when I mid-60s. I was only 7 or so, I've seen Liverpool win, title after title after title, and I was spoiled, really spoiled. So yeah, for the 21st year, and finally get it. It's just brilliant. Words, go beyond me. You can't express, what it means.
The importance of Klopp is something that we've obviously spoken a good bit about over the last 2 hours or so, but I kind of feel like it's something that you can't talk about too much. And then the other thing is that the club has begun to be well run over the last 8 years or so, that even when they make mistakes, and they've made a few along the way, the owners have listened to whatever people have said. And sometimes it's been a backlash, sometimes it's been advice, sometimes it's been good quality reporting. And they've changed the way that they've done business to a point where they're now a reasonably important part of the city who actually understands that they have a role beyond just being a business in the city.
Yeah, you can't really fault them. Some fans nitpick and all that, but what they've done, and don't forget we were in a mess. Looking at administration when they came in, and they had the balls to actually say, we will deliver. We'll get the league. They put the statement out, and finally they got the right man. Jurgen, which, words aren't enough to see what a job he's done. We've got the players who sold the top players. You're talking about Suarez and Coutinho, and built this squad. Basically, that money went a long way to building what we've got now. And when he came, we just lost Steve Gerrard and Jamie Carragher. So what he's done is well, it's just got the wow factor. Let's hope we continue now.
The style of play, I think, has been important as well. The heavy press was something that the fans could get behind very early on, because it was all action. It was something that you understood that these players were going to go out and give absolutely everything. Even when the results weren't there at the start, at least the work rate was there. And then the results started to come, and then the goals started to come, and then the counter-attacking and the pace. And now it's like, it's genuinely a brilliant experience to go to Anfield to watch a match, even when they're not playing against one of the other top teams. When they're playing against some of the bad teams, it's almost even better because the quality of football is sensational.
Yeah, the pressing. I have to say, a lot of people talk about the pressing, and like the Crystal Palace game tonight, that was at its best. When you see a team that doesn't even get into your 18-yard box, that's how much the lads wanted it. But I'll go back to a little bit to Jack Charlton, bring Jack Charlton in this. That's what we did for the Republic of Ireland. We did that pressing. I think we were probably the first team to do that pressing. That got us where we were at the time. Ranked 5th or 6th in world football. Everyone didn't want to play against us. And we had really good players. Don't get me wrong, some great players. But the pressing was immense on the Jack, and you had to do it. Now Liverpool have done that. A modern day pressing. And obviously you've got to keep the ball when you have the ball, and be very patient, and to put it all together in the way Jurgen has. It's I've seen Barcelona do it to the extremes, and Liverpool have carried that on now, and it must be horrible for teams. And as you say, I go to Anfield every game. To come to Anfield, and we know how they're going to set up: 4-6-0, 4-5-1. And just watch this team, Liverpool. Just the way they do it, it is, as you say, it's an experience to go. If you get a chance, and it's very hard to get tickets for Anfield, go and watch it, because it's quite incredible the way they do it.
Well, especially at the moment, like we've now seen 24 months of them playing absolutely sensational league football. The old thing about nobody ever remembers who finishes second. I think everybody's going to remember this Liverpool team finishing second and using it as a springboard, because they had the record number of points last year, to absolutely steamroll everybody this year. Yeah. And John, I've been making this point a little bit earlier on, but Man United obviously ended their long drought when Ferguson came in. It took him a long while to get that team over the line, but it did unleash a dam burst of confidence and success in the aftermath of that. And it's really set up for Liverpool now to be one of the best teams in Europe for the next 3 or 4 years.
Well, we hope so. It pains me to say what Fergie did for Man United was again, wow, speaks for brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. And to keep him going for so long, that takes some doing. Let's hope Jurgen, can do that in the immediate future just for now. But he has, we've made a mockery of the league. Last year was just, to do what we did last year and win the European Cup and get that amount of points and not win the league, that was the killer. That was unbelievable. The sting of that was took out by winning the Champions League, but the players, how they must have felt, to do what they did in the league and not win it. And then to come back this year and do, as I say, they made a mockery of the league. They've smashed it. absolutely smashed it to smithereens. Never been done that way before. You know, that just speaks such volumes for Jurgen and the players and the staff.
Well, look, John, it's great to hear from you. It's been 30 years exactly over the last couple of days since the penalty shootout in Genoa. Happy memories, I hope, for you, and I hope you've been lying back and revelling in that, and then enjoying last night as well. Yeah,
well, you know, that's something that I can always look back on. You know, the times you had with the Republic, 10 of the years, you know, which I was blessed. I was absolutely blessed to play for such a great man with Jack Charles, such great lads around me, and the greatest international fans in the world. You know, never no trouble. They just went and had the crack and got right behind the lads. It was just a dream. It was fantastic. John, enjoy what's coming next. Thanks a million, man. Take care. Pleasure. Take care. All the best. That's John Aldridge giving us some thoughts this morning at exactly 10 o'clock this morning here on OTB AM. A couple of quick comments from people rolling in across our YouTube channel, and they're going to be open, I'd say, all day. James Harry, so happy right now, and have been a proud Liverpool fan since 2001. There's no time I had in mind to leave this great club just because we ain't winning trophies. So excited. This means more. Badola says, now Liverpool have won the most prestigious prize. I want Klopp to go back to full throttle heavy metal football like it was in 2018. So free from the shackles of knowing that, you know, they haven't been successful to suddenly now being incredibly successful. It's going to be interesting to see what does come next, because he has changed things up, you know. Media Man says back-to-back is very hard, but with player rotation it can be done. Right. That is pretty much all we have time for here, but we've got a couple of brilliant things coming your way in just a moment. Isle Cody says, never thought I'd get to shout, stop bloody hoovering. John Giles is singing You'll Never Walk Alone. Well, he's about to do it again. You can WhatsApp us here, 087 180 180. We've had a couple of images sent in from, there you go. It's been a long 30 years. Some of us have waited longer than others. Ross, Rachel, John and Jennifer Ahern in Tralee. So there's a very happy family, and Lucky Boy is another one there. I don't know who sent that second one in, but look, I think there's going to be a lot of very happy Liverpool fans. There was definitely fireworks going off in Marino last night, and then I tweeted that and it turned out that they were general all over Ireland, just like the snow in James Joyce's The Dead. Right, I got to tell you, the OTB Sports app is live in the App Store. It's the best place to listen to OTB Sports Radio. It's the best place to watch us every morning, and it's the best place to listen to the radio show every evening as well. You can get it there. It's free, gratis, and for nothing. It has all our podcasts. And when you hit the radio button, we have live radio for you. So today is a sensational lineup with a Michael Owen interview, a career retrospective from Jason McAteer, our roadshow stuff with Steve McManaman, and we also have a Bruce Grobbelaar interview thrown into the mix in the middle of it all as well. We've done some great stuff with Craig Johnson over the years. We might end up trying to dig that out for you over the next while as well. Keith Wood's State of the Union is up next. Stay tuned for this. It's great stuff from Jerome Garces and Johnny Lacey, two recently retired referees. Garces obviously did the Rugby World Cup final in Japan just last year, so obviously has just retired, and Johnny Lacey was part of the delegation who was looking after the Tier 2 nations to try and get them up to speed with what was going on. But they also have both very interesting careers behind them as well. So a reminder of what's on today's show: Alan Quinlan, Phil Thompson, Mark Lawrenson, Graeme Souness, John Aldridge, Jason McAteer, David Meyler, and we had Phil Egan and Nathan Murphy. So it has been wall-to-wall Liverpool from 7:30 this morning, and still plenty more to come. The OTB Sports Radio schedule is absolutely sensational today, so stay tuned.
I'm sorry for supporters because they are great supporters, and they've been a great club, and it's delighted to see them back on again.
All right, take it away whenever you want.
I'll try it, and but it's not an easy one. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky with the sweet silver song of the lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and torn. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
man, that was brilliant. Thank you very much.
OTB AM. This is OTB Sports Radio.
Football is back.
Liverpool have got it front, and Sadio Mane scored.
Like the rest of us returning to work, the Premier League is also back. Keep up to date with the latest scores on the OTB Sports app. Live updates and analysis of this summer's Premier League action. The OTB Sports app. Live score updates straight to your phone.
Come on, Tom, are you nearly finished hanging that plasterboard? I'm going as fast as I can, but... Have you not heard? The Tech 7 adhesive and sealant lads have introduced a new foam adhesive. Tech 7 Foam Tack. Oh, Foam Tack? I heard people talking about that, all right. Well, you should be using that. Tech 7 Foam Tack is super strong, quick and easy to use, inside or outside. You're right. I'm out of here. Home early? Nah, to the builders' merchants to buy my Tech 7 Foam Tack, of course. Tech 7 Foam Tack. Available now at your local builders' merchants.
Missing this?
This is the dream. Shohei on Ringload. Whether you're from Cushendall in Antrim or Mount Sion in Watford, this is what it's all about.
And get this, the all-new OTB Sports app. Off the Ball, Ireland's premier sports channel, now has a new home, featuring the biggest names in Irish and world sports. Podcasts, interviews, news, commentary, analysis, plus almost 20 years of sporting archives. All free and ready when you are, at home or on the go. The new OTB Sports app. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play.
OTB Sports Radio.
So Liverpool now 22 points clear. No team in the history of English football's ever gone 22 points clear at the top of a top-flight table. It means 6 more wins and the league is done. Could even be done in March. I know you were watching them yesterday, a 4-0 win against Southampton, and the conversation between now and the end of the season is going to be about greatness and comparing them to the Invincibles, comparing them to Manchester City of last year.
That conversation won't come from Klopp. He'll have no interest in that, and the only problem you think in terms of going for a record points total is that he'll rest players going into those Champions League games, and so he should, because he's on one about winning title challenges. But in terms of giving it some context in terms of what Liverpool have done, 70 points by January, it is unbelievable. And when you talk about the greatest Premier League teams, you're obviously talking about the treble winning team of 99 of Manchester United, of which this Liverpool team are over 20 points ahead of them at this stage of the season. Then you talk about the Invincibles of Arsenal, they're over 10, 12 points ahead of them at this stage of the season. It's relentless. It is just a staggering level of performance in terms of points, because I would argue that they were probably look better, and certainly look better defensively last season than they have this. Yet no team seems to be able to lay a glove on them.
So what is it then? What is it? What's the X factor in this Liverpool team?
Well, it's throughout the team. I genuinely believe that. I think it's a combination of so many things. I think obviously they've got that brilliant front